mainland in EHT. Clark's Moving and Storage, they took care of it all from start to finish. Trust their moving company with the finest in storage and moving services. They're one of the largest companies in the area, and you can trust them. Believe me, they got it all done, moved everything, not a scratch, not a dent, not anything. On time, professional, they really did it all. I felt very comfortable and very confident in their team at Clark's Moving and Storage every step of the way. So do what I did and use Clark's Moving for your big move. Call them today, 609-889-0780, or visit them at clarksmoving.net. Clark's Moving is an authorized agent for Wheaton Worldwide Moving, so they can move you across the country or even around the world.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him, it's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
Finally!
This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig broadcasting live from the 97.3 ESPN Studio. Well, we come into the weekend with basically only hope for one. I hate to put it that way. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom. We're going to try to give you all the information you need today on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up on the show, just me riding solo with you guys to go to the conversation at 609-403-0973. We got 25 minutes from now. Plus, Charlotte Varnes comes to Phillies for the Athletic at 1 p.m. Myrtetus rehab injury. Tyrese Maxey finger injury is having much more of an impact than we realized. So, we'll get to all that and more here on Hanging with Hennig, except for the Philadelphia 76ers, right? And I'm just going to keep it 100 with you guys. Last night was embarrassing. But it was also a clear sign why people like myself looked at the Sixers coming into the postseason the way we did. Because everyone kept saying, well, if Embiid is healthy, well, if everybody is 100%, well, if everybody's good to go. And I kept falling back to, if your reasoning for everything is if they're healthy, you don't really have a strategy for success. And last night proved that to be the case. It became very evident and very clear early on that the 76ers didn't really have a plan, because they had a plan in Game 2. The plan in Game 2 was, we don't have Embiid. We're going to run you into the ground. Well, it was such a great strategy, they ran themselves into the ground. And then they ran out of gas in the in the fourth quarter, the second half. So what was the excuse last night? They didn't run as much last night. I believe they had 0 bench points in the first half of the game. Paul George, I know, went 0 for 9 after starting the game, getting 15 points in the first quarter. They struggled to do anything that was a productive style of basketball last night. And yet they were still in it until late in the game. And it goes to show you that talent is pointless unless you can take that talent and execute to help you win a game. On paper, the Sixers should have won last night. The Knicks had no OG Anunoby. The Sixers had their 3 big stars. There were no major injuries to the team that kept anyone out of the lineup last night. The Sixers had every check mark, every element that should have been in their favor. But instead, the Sixers played like they were without one of their best players, and the Knicks played like a team with more desperation. The Knicks play like a team that was down 0-2 in the series. And that's where talent is useless if you don't have a game plan. And Nick Nurse crying to the refs every 5 minutes about a foul call is not a plan for success. The players, the coach, the entire organization have let the fans down. You gave us false hope. You went out there and you tried to pretend like this was a good enough team. And and a buddy of mine texted me earlier this morning, and he brought up a good point. He said, for every good move Daryl Morey has made, there is a other move, we'll call it, that's not as good. Listen, you give the guy credit for drafting guys like Maxey and Edgecombe, but you also got to blame him for trading away Jared McCain. You got to blame him for basically building a roster that doesn't really have juice. And again, I don't know how you guys felt after last night's game. You can text in at 609-403-0973. We are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. I don't know how you guys feel after last night's game, but I feel like this organization has put us all on notice. They have no answers. There is no more card tricks left up their sleeve. There's no more surprises walking down the ramp. Today is WWE Backlash. A lot of times the WWE major events are like a surprise guest or someone's going to show up and they weren't expected. There's no surprise coming down the ramp to save us, okay? The Sixers went in to a fight and said, wait a minute, let me tie my hands behind my back. That's what happened in this game. And that's where the Sixers are so different than the Flyers. The Sixers go into a game and look like they don't have an idea what they're doing. The Flyers know what they should be doing. They're just too inexperienced and immature to get it straight. Rick Tocchet, the head coach of the Flyers, said the other night, he said after the game that, hey, we don't have the experience. We don't have the maturity to be handling some of these situations. We're not handling them properly. Nick Nurse said after the game, well, Joel Embiid gave us everything he could, and I don't know, man. Mentalities are completely different. Nick Nurse knows that he has a team that cannot do what he wants them to do. And because Nick Nurse is so inflexible, he can't customize the game plan around his guys. On the flip side, Rick Tocchet is doing everything that he can. Everything he can to put this team in a position to be successful. And in some games, the players execute. In other games, they don't. But Tocchet also knows, look, the ceiling is still high for this team. And that's where the fork in the road is. The Flyers are a team that overachieved and still has a bright future. The Sixers are a team that has underachieved, and I don't know what the future is. Because whenever they lose this series, whether it's Sunday or Tuesday, by the way, tomorrow's game coverage begins at 3 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers-Knicks Game 4. Flyers back in action tonight at 6 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN FM and streaming live on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Whenever these two series end, we're going to go in the offseason feeling completely different. The Flyers, it's going to be, hey, they overachieved. They got some really good guys on this team. They got a youth movement. They got a future. You make a couple of roster tweaks here and there, and you are really going to be firing next year. Sixers, when their season ends, it's going to be, well, what player could they have had they're not going to get this offseason? Tell me I'm wrong. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Because that's the vibe. That's the energy that we're getting from a game last night. And you want to know why there were so many Knick fans and so little Sixer fans in the building? Because Sixer fans knew that they didn't want to spend their hard-earned money to watch their team disappoint them again. The Knicks fans knew that their team was going to show up. Sixer fans don't know if their team is going to show up from night to night or show up for one quarter. That's part of the deal. Part of the deal is they showed up for one quarter. Now, look, the Flyers' problem, you know, they talked about in the locker room with Billy Schwein before me here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a cloudy Saturday outside. Hope everyone's being safe. People are nuts out there, by the way, today, driving around. So please be safe wherever you're going if you're listening to the sound of my voice. But the difference is the Flyers, they have a ceiling. They have the opportunity to go and do things. It's one of those deals where the Sixers, I don't know what their future is. On the text board is 609-403-0973. Tim in Delaware chimes in and says, I feel cheated. There's no fight in this Sixers team. You have a mix of youth who go up, and then you have a mix of old-time players who show up for maybe a quarter or two. It's not going to work. I believe they could have gotten the job done against Boston, and I was correct, but I was not right when I thought they would get the job against the Knicks. The Knicks just show that they want it more than the Sixers, and B looks like his feet are in concrete. I hear you, Tim in Delaware. But I will say, last night was a game that I can't be mad at Embiid. I mean, the dude is playing basically with a half a body at this point. Like, the normal people would find a way to call out of work with Joel Embiid's injuries. You know, the average person who doesn't really care about their 9-to-5 job, like, they have the stuff Embiid has. They're like, I don't want to go to work. I'm going to stay home. Last night, the problem was, number one, Paul George. It's an absolute abomination that you scored 15 points in the first quarter and go 0 for 9 the rest of the game. Second person I blame is Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse has got to be one of the most tone-deaf head coaches I have ever seen. And in all the years that I had to listen to Bobby Schwein complain in the locker room about Brett Brown, I don't think Brett Brown is any worse than Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse, he goes out there, spends half the game arguing with the refs. Hey, Nick, how about you stop talking to the refs, talk to your team? Hey, Nick, one of your best players can't make a shot. Can you put somebody else in? And the third person to blame is Daryl Morey. Because you know who would have really helped this team the last two games? Jared McCain. You know what Jared McCain's doing in Oklahoma City? Lighting it up. They even say it on SportsCenter every night. There's that Jared McCain guy again. Oh, Jared McCain stats. Who compiled these, Billy? Aaron, okay. Well, I give the person credit. So Billy's intern, Aaron Ewing, put this sheet together. Because, you know, around here, we give people credit, Billy. You know, we're not like some shows in Philadelphia that steal people's content and information and guests and then act like they're special. Did I say that out loud? It's my show. I can do what I want. Hang with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. So Jared McCain in the postseason so far, 18 points, 12 points in the last couple games. 18 minutes, 15 minutes. Now, remember, in the regular season, he was also banging threes as well. So, Jared McCain would help a lot in this series, and that's where I blame Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey's built a roster that is flawed because his head coach, remember, Nick Nurse didn't know what to do with Jared McCain. Nick Nurse doesn't want to play young guys unless they're Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. And for some reason, this team loves Dominic Barlow. I don't understand the obsession with Barlow. I think Walker would have been a much better option in some of these games, but he's just sitting on the bench and rotting away. And you can tell he doesn't want to play a Dembona. I don't even know if Nick Nurse likes a Dembona. I think he feels like he has to play a Dembona. So Daryl Morey has got the waste of a roster spot in Kyle Lowry just hanging on the bench. I thought Kyle Lowry was supposed to help these guys, be a veteran leader. What is he doing on the bench? I think that there is more energy and passion for this Sixers team, night in and night out, from the fans than Kyle Lowry the entire year. Kyle Lowry should be getting off the bench and yelling at people. Instead, he's collecting a paycheck. He's like a leech on the Sixers salary cap. And yes, Tim and Lentella, what I see you mentioned about Jared McKinnon as well. That was one of the worst decisions Daryl Morey has ever made. The problem with Daryl Morey, though, is that I don't know if the Sixers ownership cares enough to do something about it. You know what I mean? I don't know if the Sixers ownership cares enough to look at Daryl Morey and say, you're the problem, we need to fire you. Because the organization will rationalize, well, you got us Tyrese Maxey, you got us VJ Edgecombe, you drafted a Dembona, you've made some good moves, and they'll probably rationalize, Tim and Delaware, that the good moves outweigh the bad moves. I think that's what's going to happen. I think this organization is going to rationalize this whole thing away. David and Violent chiming in at 69403-0977. Says a few years ago, the Flyers were projected to be the worst team in the NHL. They lost 6 straight games, barely missed the playoffs. They played so hard and passionately, but they were just not good enough. Around the same time, I was watching James Harden drop 60. Next game, Badu was an absolute loser and did nothing. That's the line. Everyone loves to win. Not everyone hates to lose. Sixers have a loser's mentality, says David and Violent. I think James Harden has a loser's mentality. I don't think all the Sixer players have a loser's mentality. I think maybe the head coach might have a bad attitude and a bad mentality. I'm going to keep going back to that. For me, I keep going back to the job of the head coach of the 76ers is to say, you know what? This ain't working. I got to try something else. He looks just as lost and confused as the rest of us are. What's probably going to happen is Nick Nurse is going to be the scapegoat for the season. They're going to say they need a new direction. And Nick Nurse in about 2 months is going to have the same beard that Billy Schweim has right now. He's going to be so happy that he doesn't have to show up to the media and not shave. He'll be sitting on a beach collecting his $1 billion check for getting fired. David Violent's 100% right. There's a mentality. There's an attitude. Even when you're not the best team, how hard are you trying? You know who was trying really hard last night? The Knicks bench. The Knicks bench players were playing hard. The Sixers bench was hoping they might get a minute because Paul George is just chucking up shots and missing them. And we'll get more to the Flyers coming up later today with Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network, because I really want to know Myrtetus' perspective on what is next for this team. because they're not going to win this series. They might win the game tonight. They might win the game the next game. Who knows? But I do think there's something to be said with the fact that the Flyers, they just don't have as much depth as Carolina does. The Sixers on paper have all the talent in the world. But the Knicks are just, as you guys are saying out there, I agree. They want it more. Coming up the other side, I'll talk with Tony Jones from The Athletic, get his perspective. He was in the house last night for that game. So we'll get Tony's perspective on the Sixers and what is next for this team. Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live for the 97.3 ESPN Studios. Don't forget, I'm back in the studio today. A couple weeks from now, we are going to be back on the road. By the way, what a great time last Saturday at Gusto Brewing Company. I had so much fun meeting so many of you on location. It was just an absolute splendid time to hang out with everyone down at Gusto Brewing Company. So thanks everybody for turned out for that event. But 2 weeks from now is our next live broadcast. We will be on the road at Boulevard Super Liquors, planning a graduation party, a summer family gathering, Memorial Day weekend mixer. The one-stop spot where I go for every occasion is Boulevard Super Liquors. And we will be there Saturday, May 23rd, for a big event. We'll be broadcasting live, presented in part by our friends over at, and this is the wild part, okay? Bird Spirits is in part a big reason why, Bird Gang Spirits is a big part of the reason why we will be broadcasting live, because thanks to them and Boulevard Super Liquors, we'll be giving away a signed Devontae Smith helmet, as well as a Cooper DeJean jersey and other great prizes. So it will be an amazing day at Boulevard Super Liquors on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the 34th Street Bridge in Ocean City. We will also be joined that day by the great people from Ludlam Island Brewing. Billy, the owner, is going to be stopping by, as well as Frank's Way Espresso Martinis and Myers Lighthouse Brewing's crew is going to stop by. We got prize giveaways. Everyone's going to be hanging out. Get your weekend started with the best selection of beer, wine, and spirits in South Jersey. Boulevard Super Liquors, right off of exit 25 on the Garden State Parkway in Upper Township at the foot of the 34th Street Ocean City Bridge. All right, coming up next, Tony Jones from The Athletic talks more about the Sixers with us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM. The 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And we are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
It's Sixers playoff basketball. It's Sixers Knicks Game 4 tomorrow afternoon on 97.3 ESPN. Listen as Tom McGinnis calls all the Sixers playoff action.
Here's Maxey on a drive to the right side, scoops it, stops it, shoots it, and scores it. It's up and good. Clutch field goal by Maxey. A sweeping crossover to create the space on the right wing on McBride.
The Sixers face the New York Knicks tomorrow afternoon. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. on South Jersey's home for Sixers playoff basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Planning a graduation party? A summer family gathering? Memorial Day weekend mixer? The one-stop shop where I go is Boulevard Super Liquors, located on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the Ocean City 34th Street Bridge. Boulevard Super Liquors has the best selection of craft beer, whiskey, vodka, wines, and tequila in all of South Jersey. Plus, if you're traveling down the Garden State Parkway, Boulevard Super Liquors is within minutes of exit 25, so you can jump off the exit and get back on the road within minutes. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, Boulevard Super Liquors also has the largest temperature-controlled wine room in New Jersey. These are just some of the reasons why my favorite stop is Boulevard Super Liquors, with the best selection at the Jersey Shore. Visit them on Instagram and Facebook to learn more about upcoming tasting events. Don't miss your chance to win a signed Devontae Smith helmet or Cooper DeJean jersey when Hanging with Hennig broadcast live on Saturday, May 23rd. Presented by Bird Gang Spirits at Boulevard Super Liquors on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the Ocean City 34th Street Bridge. The best selection of beer and spirits in South Jersey. Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City, or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and food. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
You've seen it on Facebook. Now see it for yourself at Bridgeton Auto Mall. Customers are raving about the no-pressure experience and great deals on new and quality pre-owned SUVs, sedans, and trucks, all priced to move. It's car buying the way it should be. Easy, honest, and built around you. Plus, their expert service team is there long after the sale to keep you on the road. Stop scrolling, start driving. Bridgeton Auto Mall. Sales, service, satisfaction. 808 North Pearl Street, Bridgeton, or drivebam.com.
Spring is in the air, and Alev's long-lasting pain relief is here to keep you moving. The days are longer and the flowers are blooming. Whether it's gardening, yard work, or just spending more time outdoors, spring is a way of getting us moving despite any body pain. That's where Aleve can keep you going. With just one dose, Aleve gives you long-lasting body pain relief for up to 12 hours. From sunup to sundown, Aleve's got your back. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
When it comes to injuries, you can't afford to get it wrong. Insurance companies, they delay, deny, and pay as little as possible. Who's on your side? The law offices of Craig A. Altman. Car accidents, slip and falls, serious workplace injuries. They build cases to put real pressure on the other side. And you pay nothing unless they win. Don't guess, don't wing it. Call 856-327-8899 or visit CraigAltmanLaw.com. Local office in Vineland, backed by a Philly firm that knows how to win.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You blitz all night.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here at Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Right now, joining us on the phone line to get more into the 76ers. They are now down 3-0 in the series against the Knicks. Frankly, a very deflating game last night. Tony Jones, who covers the 76ers for The Athletic, joining us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Tony, welcome back into the show. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you jumping back on. So where I wanted to start with this is, for those of us who were not in the building last night and watching the game, it's one thing to say in the game 2 that they ran out of gas last night. I don't think it's fair to say they ran out of gas last night. Like game 2, they were just sprinting for 3 quarters, right? And they basically, Paul George admitted, hey, our legs ran out on us. So what was the reason why they seemed to be, because I don't think they ran out of gas last night, so what is it?
Well, I don't think they ran out of gas last night. I think they got outplayed. I just think that the Knicks thoroughly outplayed them. I do think that, the Knicks are a deeper team, and I think that played some role into last night. But they got outplayed. There's certain things that Philadelphia has not done all season really reared its ugly head last night. The Sixers have not gotten a defensive rebound all season, and they let the Knicks get 13 offensive rebounds, and they turned those into bushels of points. The Knicks haven't defended the 3-point line that well this season, and the Knicks ate them up from the 3-point line, and they haven't been able to do anything with Jalen Brunson all series. So it was not any one thing. It wasn't the officials. It wasn't the legs. It wasn't it wasn't the Sixers didn't make shots. It wasn't the Knicks did make shots. It was the New York Knicks in Game 3 were a vastly superior team than the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 3.
So then how much of that is on the players? How much of that is, like, where do we draw the line? Because, Tony, in a city like Philadelphia, everyone wants to blame someone, right? Everyone wants to point the finger at somebody. I got people chiming into the show already in the first segment saying Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, Paul George. Like, where does the weight of the blame for you fall in a game like last night?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you're going to – I think multiple things are true, right? Right now, the 76ers have maybe 7 playable guys, and the Knicks have at least 9, probably 10. I think that Philadelphia's ceiling is significantly tied to how well Joel Embiid can move. And in this series, as opposed to the Celtics series, he can't move very well at all. In the Celtics series, the Celtics didn't have the personnel to make Joel have to move in space defensively, and the Knicks do. So it's the lack of depth. It's the lack of attention to detail that's plagued this team all season. There are about 4 or 5 things that you can point to, and before you get to any one thing. So I think it's the right answer is it's the confluence of things and not any specific thing that's really hurting the Sixers this series.
Talking with Tony Jones, covers the 76ers for The Athletic. Of course, all your Sixers coverage is right there in The Athletic. Be like me, be a subscriber, and read all the coverage they have over there. Tony, you mentioned about the Joel Embiid part of this, and I was saying before you came on, I can't blame Joel for a game like last night. I think Nick Nurse put it well last night where he said Joel gave us everything he could. How much do you think Joel Embiid was even like what number do you put on his physical ability? Like was he like 70%? Because it felt like at moments he was okay. In other moments, I felt like visibly you could tell he was laboring.
I thought he was about 60% last night. I thought at the beginning of the game in the opening 2 possessions, he made one defensive play where he played to the level of the screen defensively and then hustled and got to the corner and challenged Josh Hart and ran him off the 3-point line, and it turned into a Knicks turnover and a Sixers basket. And I thought that was the one play that he made where his body showed some real significant signs of life. It's the entire conundrum of Joel Embiid. I think that we've seen it all play out this playoff. He was dominant against the Celtics when he had, any modicum of health. But the problem is you're not going to be able to keep him healthy in an every other day format for 4 rounds of a playoff. So how do you win a championship with Joel Embiid? Because you could probably keep him healthy in the first round, because a first round is typically drawn out for 2 weeks. But in the second round, when it's go time and it's every other day with no breaks, it's all gas with no breaks. And, Embiid's body has not been able to hold up. So, it's one of those things where he's so good, and when he's on, he's still one of the very best players in the world. But it's such a challenge to keep him healthy.
Are you trying to channel your inner Jacob Fatu over here?
I'm sorry, I did. This definitely, most definitely.
I mean, I'm not judging you. I heard it and I was like, wait a minute. Full disclosure, I'm wearing a Roman Reigns shirt today. So,
listen, I'm not going to judge you. I think that you get through life the way you need to get through life, and we're going to be just okay.
Back to the 76ers. Tony Jones from The Athletic joining us, who covers the 76ers. You mentioned about the element of the way this team got, basically outplayed, outworked last night. For you, do you think when Tyrese Maxey says after the game late last night, when he says, hey, we got to play with more pride, do you think that's a message about him just saying, like, hey, like, we all got to do better? Or is maybe some of that maybe directed at somebody?
No, I don't think it was directed at anybody, and typically when Tyrese criticizes somebody, he criticizes himself first, which is one of the things I like about him. But, he said, what are we going to do? Are we going to roll over and get swept on our home floor, or are we going to, play with some pride and go out and extend this series? And, one of the things that's been with the Sixers this year is they've been, a resilient bunch. Whenever they've needed a win, they've gotten a win for all of their faults. And this has been a faulty team. They have the real endearing quality of really coming out and fighting with their backs against the wall. And I think that, from that perspective and from the perspective that they actually got to the second round of the playoffs, I hope that this Sixers team is ultimately remembered fondly by its fan base because of the fight that it's had in them. But this isn't the Boston Celtics. I don't think that the Knicks are going to play arrogant basketball, play around, and let the Sixers get back into the series. So if the Sixers are going to get a win tomorrow, they're going to have to earn it. And if they're going to get back into the series, they're going to have to earn it. I don't think there's anywhere to pick on, as to where, the Celtics have multiple spots where the Knicks, where the Sixers could pick at. So, it's going to be an uphill climb, and it's going to start with the mentality. Do these Sixers want to get back on a plane and go back up to New York for Game 5, or do they want to go to Cancun?
We know that Jalen Brunson is going to get his. I think that's undeniable at this point. So who is the guy that the Sixers are going to win the game tomorrow afternoon? Tony Jones, when you're watching it, tip off after 3:30, who's the guy that you say, if they keep this guy from having impact on the game, the Sixers will win it?
Well, I think they also have to figure out a way to deal with Karl Anthony Towns, and they haven't. They haven't found a way to deal with OG Anunoby. He probably won't play tomorrow, considering last night. They haven't. But the one guy I think that had a really good series where I think that if you're the Sixers, you can't really live with it, is Mikal Bridges. And, I thought that he was largely invisible in the first round win against the Atlanta Hawks, but he's been spectacular in the 3 games in this series. He's made shots. He's defended Tyrese Maxey well. Open looks have gone in. His ability to move without the ball has produced easy baskets, or at least easy looks. He's made shots off the dribble. He's been able to create his own shots. If you're going to let Jalen Brunson do whatever he wants, and if you're going to let Karl Anthony Towns essentially do whatever he wants in between, picking up a whole bunch of stupid fouls, then, you got to shut somebody's water off. And the fact that, the Sixers haven't been able to shut Mikal Bridges' water off, I think that's something that the Sixers cannot live with.
Tell me, before I let you go, one of the big storylines coming out last night as well, Paul George starts the game 15 points and then goes 0 for 9 the rest of the game. What do we do about Paul George? Because this is a guy who have given us some really nice moments, some really nice games in the postseason, but at other times he just disappears on the offensive side of the floor.
Well, I mean, if you looked at the makes and you looked at the misses, I wouldn't look at either of those. I'd look at the shot quality of every shot that he's taken. He's taking the exact same shots. He basically took the exact same shots, whatever. How many times did he shoot last night? Probably 17, 18 times. He took 18.
Yeah, I think it was 17.
Yeah, he took 17 of the same shot. And that was either he took a long contested 2 or he took a long contested 3. He had one layup in off a flash cut in the 3rd or 4th possession of the game. Every other shot was a contested jumper. And if your shot diet is that, you're, as simple as this, you're going to make some, you're going to miss some. You're going to make a little bit, and you're going to miss a little bit. If you're taking the exact same shot, which is basically a contested three with a hand in your face, you're just not going to make all of them, and you're not going to be efficient with that shot diet. The problem with Paul George right now is that he's not beating anybody off the dribble, so he has to rely on that shot. And you're going to make some, you're going to miss some. So, in that vein, it just isn't surprising that he got hot at one point in the game and he made a bunch, and then the law averages caught up to him and he missed a bunch. I just think that if you gave the Philadelphia fans their druthers, they would rather the 9 misses come at the beginning of the game and then him get hot
right
and score 15 points in the fourth quarter.
That's 100% true. He's Tony Jones, covers the Philadelphia 76ers for The Athletic. Make sure you get The Athletic so you get all of your coverage of the 76ers with Tony Jones. Tony, appreciate you jumping on today. Keep up the great work, my man.
No problem. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Josh Hennig hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Don't forget, hanging with Hennig being brought to you by friends over at Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means every bet you place on every sport does more for you. More ways to play and more ways to win with hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. It's the kind of treatment that every fan deserves, and only Caesars delivers. Download the app, use my promo code RADIO, DYW. They'll place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Rule your play with Caesars Sportsbook. Open to new users in New Jersey are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings, $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll get back to text board coming up 609-403-0973. Plus, we will talk Phillies with Charlotte Varnes from The Athletic at 1 p.m. today. The Ivy Rehab injury report with Dr. Jaden Hoth. He will join us at 1:25, and then we will get back into the Flyers as well throughout the show. Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network joins us at 2:25 p.m. All that and more still to come. Hanging with Hennig, with me, Josh Hennig, and you. We're all hanging out together. We're all commiserating in the misery of the 76ers. But we will get into the Flyers, Phillies, and more as well here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Flyers Hurricanes, Game 4, tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoric call all the Flyers playoff action.
They get it back to Martin with a shot. The bouncing putt. Zegras, he scores! Covers Zegras, and the Flyers have tied
It's
it.
Flyers Hurricanes, Game 4, tonight. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on South Jersey's home for Flyers playoff hockey, 97.3 ESPN. And listen live on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Go to get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Go where fans become fanatics at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time to dig into doing with Spring Garden deals at the Home Depot. Save on plants like azaleas and hydrangeas to add a pop of color to your garden. Or grow a veggie garden and turn fresh harvests into feasts that bring everyone to the table. No matter your garden goals, the Home Depot has everything you need. Shop Spring Garden deals for 4 days at the Home Depot, now through May 10th.
Progressive knows you want to get away, but not like too away. You crave the unknown, but also charcuterie boards with 4 types of cheese. And that's exactly why you bought an RV and bundled it with Progressive, because 24/7 protection is one luxury you'll never have to give up. So go ahead, explore the wilderness, all from the comfort of your zero-gravity camp chair. Switch to Progressive and protect your RV, boat, or motorcycle by bundling with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurance. Not available in all states or situations.
The countdown to summer is on, and Broadleys is ready to help keep you cool. Schedule your AC tune-up today and ask about their family comfort plan for priority service all year long. Did your AC struggle last summer? Act now and take advantage of 0% financing and rebates up to $2,000, so you can have a worry-free summer. Call 609-390-3907 or visit broadleys.net today.
Broadleys, the name you know, the service you trust.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a data analyst.
Hey, what model did you use for these quarterly projections?
Astrology. If Mercury's in retrograde, sales tank. If Venus is rising, we crush Q4.
You built our revenue forecast off horoscopes?
Yeah, the Zodiac never lies.
This is a job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This deer season, John Deere wants to give you the home field advantage. We're bringing you the best offers of the season, whether that's cash off on select new machines or a shot at the ultimate Major League Baseball prize package. Because right now, you can enter for a chance to win an MLB All-Star experience for you and 3 friends, complete with travel and lodging for All-Star Week this July. Deer season is going on now through June 3rd. Visit johndeere.com/deer season to enter and view the offers and complete contest rules. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
The ShopRite LPGA, powered by Wakefern, returns to the Jersey Shore May 29th through the 31st at Seaview Hotel and Golf Club in Galloway, New Jersey. Come see 144 of the world's best female professional golfers, including fan favorites and past champions Brooke Henderson and Anna Nordqvist, compete in the annual Shore Tradition. Daily, weekly grounds, and upgraded hospitality tickets are all available. Children 17 and under get in free, and ShopRite Price Plus card holders can download 2 free tickets. Visit ShopRiteLPGA.com.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hang with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by our friends over at the law offices of Craig A. Altman. If you get injured at work, slip and fall, or you know, car accident, you don't want Nick Nurse type people handling your case. You don't want somebody who's going to say, I don't know what to do. You don't want somebody who doesn't have an idea or a plan handling your injury case. That's why you need to hire the best people to handle your case. Because insurance companies, They have a game plan. They delay, deny, and pay as little as possible. The law offices of Craig A. Altman have tough lawyers who can handle the tough cases. Call them at 856-327-8899 or visit them online at craigaltmanlaw.com. With offices on Delsey Drive in Vineland, backed by a Philadelphia law firm that knows how to win. Don't hire someone just because they spend a lot of money to pay for television commercials. Hire someone who understands what it takes to actually win. The law offices of Craig A. Altman. Learn more at craigaltmanlaw.com. Delsey Drive in Vineland, 856-327-8899. We'll get back to text board in just a moment here at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See, don't forget, we are streaming live on YouTube and X, so you can join the conversation over there as well. On the text board, Angie Tuckerton says, if they had won game two like they should have, then maybe we didn't have to worry about people buying tickets. At this point, I don't even know if I'm going to watch the game tomorrow. At least VJ Edgecombe was taking shots, says Angie Tuckerton. Even though he's missing them, my only hope is that with the right coach, Maxey will be better. I think the most important part of what Angie's text there is the last part. There is a strong argument that can be made that Nick Nurse should no longer be the head coach. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that I don't know if Nick Nurse has what it takes for this job anymore. Angie's right. There is something to be said for the reality that Nick Nurse doesn't always put these guys in a position to be successful. Some games in the Celtics series, he was great. Other games in the Knicks series, he doesn't know what he's doing. There were numerous times during the regular season that Nick Nurse looked completely disinterested in being the head coach of this team. So to Angie's point, she's right. Maxey just might need a different coach in his ear to help him become that next level player. Maybe. He was 8 for 12 last night. And there's a lot of conversation about, is Maxey the main guy on this team? Is he the star of this team? And frankly, my answer is I don't know. And I'm not saying I don't know because I actually don't understand the question. I say I don't know because I still think there's a lot more in Maxey. I think there is a ceiling that has not been touched yet. But is that ceiling being as Nick Earnshaw said it on the locker room with Billy Schwein earlier, a superstar player? Or is that ceiling just being a multiple-time All-Star? You look at what happened with the Phillies, right? Phillies fired Don Mattingly. They win 8 of their next 9 games. Now they've lost 2 straight. And a big part of those 2 losses have been the reality that guys like Trey Turner and others are not earning their paycheck. So what do you do about that? Trey Turner is paid like a superstar, but is playing like an all-star. There's tiers to this thing. I would say the tiers, especially for a sport like basketball, is there is all-time great, superstar, all-star, really good player, role player, bench warmer. That's probably how I would rank it. Right now, Maxey is an all-star. He's not a superstar. He's not an all-time great. Now, if that's who he is, okay. But that means you got to build the roster accordingly. But as Angie Tuckerton said, maybe, just maybe, he needs a little more from the coaching staff. Johnny G from Ocean City chiming. What's up, Johnny G? He says, hey, Josh. Up-and-coming Flyers done in 4, but it was a good year. Sixers sweeping the floors after the next game. Knicks are done with these 76ers. Phillies need to step up. Eagles are our only hope. Go Birds. Happy Mother's Day. Johnny G in Ocean City. First of all, Johnny G, always with the concise bullet points. I love that. Johnny, I actually think the Flyers win tonight because I think the Flyers are going to want to get at least one game. I think they look at the last game, they realized they should have and could have won game 2. All the penalties doomed them in game 3. So now, if they just play smart hockey, they could probably win tonight's game. It's not like Frederik Andersen is one of the best goaltenders in hockey. You get to take advantage of him. Get more shots than Hurricanes do. Force the issue. Be more assertive in the offensive zone. They can win the game tonight. Doesn't mean they're going to win the series, but they can win the game tonight. My only question with the Sixers tomorrow is, as Maxey said, do they play with pride? Or, as Tony Jones said, are they booking their tickets for Cancun? They're making that trip right now? The Phillies thing we're going to do coming up next, Johnny G, with the Athletics Phillies reporter Charlotte Varnes, because the Phillies are in a very, very odd predicament, we'll call it. And the reason why I call it an odd predicament is because the Phillies are a team that is a very, very, very flawed roster. And basically, Rob Thompson took the blame for a roster that is not well constructed. You know, Trey Turner won the batting title last year. He's batting .226 now. Was that Rob Thompson's fault? No. How about the reality of the pitching staff? You spent a lot of money on this pitching staff. And Jesus Luzardo has basically become the most unreliable pitcher on this staff in terms of starters. Like, you trust Aaron Nola a little more than Luzardo right now. And when you look up and down the roster, you realize they got a huge problem in the bullpen, too. They got a huge, massive problem because they invested a lot of resources in the Brad Keller. And he has become very unreliable. He was supposed to be the stabilizing force to replace Matt Strom. And Brad Keller has turned into a guy that just makes you nervous when he gets on the mound. And in a game like last night, he's up a run. Game before, he looked great. Last night, I thought he was going to give up more than a couple runs. Like, I thought he was going to completely fall apart. The Rockies are not a great baseball team. But they took advantage of you. They knocked you around. So what's going on with this Phillies team? Is this just them still trying to figure themselves out? Or is there more to it? So we'll ask Charlotte Varnes from The Athletic joining us coming up next. Don't forget the Ivy Rehab injury report at 1:25 p.m. Get more perspective on how injured is Tyrese Maxey's hand. Plus, Flyers talk with Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network at 2:25. And more your texts as well, 609-403-0973. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN, streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig.
Sunday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, producer Alex Berardis, and my intern Erin Ewing join me in the studio. Erin, who's on our show Sunday?
Well, Billy, we'll talk Phillies baseball and go on the mound with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green, brought to you by Blitz's Market of Ocean City.
Of course, we'll recap the Flyers' Game 4 action against the Hurricanes and preview the Sixers and Knicks action in Game 4. Will both our seasons come to an end?
It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
We all know that sleep matters, but are we actually setting ourselves up for a good night's rest? Here's one tip sleep experts swear by. Keep your bedroom cool. The ideal sleep temperature is somewhere between 65 and 68 degrees. I know, burr, right? But here's why. As the evening goes on, our bodies naturally start to heat up before bed, and a cool room sends signals to our brain that it's time to rest. But it's not just about falling asleep. Staying cool throughout the night helps us stay in those deeper, more restorative sleep cycles. We can also try sleeping with a lighter blanket or a fan. Good sleep isn't a luxury. It's our most powerful yet underrated health tool. Let's start treating it that way. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update. Hi, it's Robin Stoloff, and I'll be moderating the free NJ Healthy Aging Summit Opioid Safety and Alternatives, Friday, June 5th at the Golden Nugget. Reserve now at njhealthyaging.org. Sponsored by the Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey, funding from the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-793-8074 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-793-8074. That's 800-793-8074. What do you have to lose? Call 800-793-8074. Again, 800-793-8074.
When it comes to injuries, you can't afford to get it wrong. Insurance companies, they delay, deny, and pay as little as possible. Who's on your side? The law offices of Craig A. Altman. Car accidents, slip and falls, serious workplace injuries. They build cases to put real pressure on the other side. And you pay nothing unless they win. Don't guess, don't wing it. Call 856-327-8899 or visit CraigAltmanLaw.com. Local office in Vineland, backed by a Philly firm that knows how to win.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally!
This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Hour 2 of Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check back at the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. While the Flyers and Sixers are both down 3-0 in their respective series, the Phillies had won 8 of 9, and now they've stumbled into the weekend. Now, I'm not writing off the Phillies just yet, but we do want to get a perspective on the team right now, as we are now a full week and a half removed from the removal of Rob Thompson and the replacement of him by Don Mattingly. And joining us to talk more about it, Charlotte Varnes covers the Philadelphia Phillies for The Athletic, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Charlotte, welcome in. And before we get into anything, congratulations on running the Broad Street run. Good job by you.
Thank you. It was my first Broad Street, and it was awesome. A great way to spend a weekend. I wasn't with the team.
Well, listen, one of those situations where we talk about the team and, you completed the race. So the Phillies still have a very long season to complete, right? We still got a long ways to go before the end of the season. So for you, right now, they are 8-3 under Don Mattingly. What has been your biggest takeaway from observing this team so far in the Don Mattingly era?
Yeah, generally, I have been a lot more impressed by the way they're playing in late innings. I feel like toward the end of things with Rob, especially as they were going through that losing streak, you could tell they were just playing super, super tight. If they got into a deep hole early in the game, it just looked like they were dead in the water late on. But even last night, Justin Crawford hits his first career home run. Obviously, they don't end up winning, but the way they were able to come back and the way they've been able to come back times over past week and a half, just the way they're sort of playing more freely has really stood out to me. And up until the past 2 days, the rotation looking better has really been the biggest part of all this, I think. You have Christopher Sanchez going 8. That cannot be understated. I mean, they were one of the last teams in baseball to have a starter go 7 innings, and that was sort of the rotation's calling card last year. They had the most innings by starters of any team in baseball last year, and I can't give you an exact number right now, but it is not high. And I mean, obviously that's shifted over the past 2 days. Andrew Painter and Jesus Luzardo both had pretty rough outings that ended up taxing the bullpen, but overall you can see things sort of trending positively for the group, which is huge because they're like just how poor they were doing was sort of inexplicable at the beginning of the season.
What's interesting is that you mentioned about how the beginning of the season versus now. It almost feels like this team, use the term, some of them almost needed to be kind of like shook a little bit because, from what I understand, Rob Thompson was a very well-liked, popular guy. So it was almost like a moment where, the guys, I know Harper is talking about this, where it's like they almost felt like this might be coming and now they realize they better step up and do their jobs.
Yeah, I think that's a proper assessment on the situation. You could tell that guys kind of felt guilty in the days after Rob got fired. I mean, they loved Rob. Think about all the champagne celebrations, all the big moments they've had. Yes, there have been the playoffs the past couple of years have not been great for the Phillies, but 22 and 23, well, particularly 22, all the champagne celebrations and everything they went through. I mean, they loved Rob, and I think it really sobered them to, wow, like we need to step it up. And I do think it's interesting because I think that is the biggest impact. I mean, you can argue that Don is not managing much more differently than Rob would. I mean, the only thing I saw differently that is not like really played out was those first couple games Don managed where he had a pretty quick hook with the starters. I haven't really seen that continue so far, but that was like the only thing that really stood out to me. You can argue a lot of decisions he's making Rob would have made as well.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of the first things Don Mattingly said his first day, right? Was he was telling all of you in the media that, there's not a lot of differences between me and Rob Thompson. There might be small changes that people might not even notice. So it seems like that, even though Rob was removed from the job and he's getting the blame for the situation, at least my observation, Charlotte, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN, Charlotte Varnes for The Athletic, my observation of Mattingly is that he seems like a guy that is saying, look, I might be the guy, the interim manager, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the players doing what they got to do.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I can't even count the amount of times he said, we just need to play better baseball in his opening press conference. I mean, that's what he saw. It wasn't something major. He was just looking at all facets of the game. And I mean, you could point to every facet of the game the Phillies were struggling in at the beginning of the season. Offense, defense, starting pitching, bullpen. I mean, it all didn't look great. And that's what Don saw when he came in. He just said, we need to be playing better. And generally they have been. I also think it helps that they're sort of at a softer part of their schedule right now, a little bit of an easier landing for Don taking over. But generally they have looked better, even playing against some weaker teams than the Cubs and the Braves.
Charlotte, one guy that's not been in the lineup the last 2 days I want to ask your perspective about is Alec Bohm. It's obviously well known that he's been dealing with some issues off the field with the issue with his horrible situation with his parents. But do you think that Bohm's struggles are because of the off the field, or do you think it may be just he's in a rut? Because, Mattingly seems very confident that he's going to turn this around.
Yeah, I would lean more that he's in a rut. I think it's hard to estimate exactly how much the off the field stuff is happening, but I've heard from multiple people close to him. They sort of feel like he processed it all during spring training, because if you look at the dates and all of these filings, so much of what was going on with his parents took place across February and March in Florida. And obviously that's a couple months ago by this point. And sure, it might still be impacting him, but those close to him sort of feel that is behind him and he just wants to focus on playing. But yeah, I think Don did the right thing by sitting him a couple days. He's expected to be back in the lineup today, but I'll be curious to see where things go moving forward, especially I'm sure the Phillies really wish Aiden Miller were healthy right now, because I think if he were hitting 300 in AAA and really knocking on the door, he would be an amazing option to have at third base. But unfortunately, they don't have a lot of options. So for now, unless they decide to lean more heavily into Edmundo Sosa, which is the very realistic option, they're going to have to roll with Bohm.
And I think the other thing with Bohm is, and again, I don't know Alec Bohm personally, but my observation has always been a lot of people, they want to be on the field to kind of get away from the world outside the ballpark or the field or the stadium. And so to me, I don't look at this as, Bohm with the off the field. I know it's been asserted by a lot of people online, but it is very odd because this is a guy who's historically been a very good contact hitter. And so, we know that in the past, guys like Jimmy Rollins, even he was benched for a weekend back in the day. So, how many more days do you think that Bohm is going to be, hanging out in the dugout at this point?
Yeah, it's unclear. I believe he's expected to be back in the lineup today, so that would leave it at 2. But if you have Edmundo Sosa, they're looking to play him in the outfield a little bit more. I think they've realized just the right-handed hitting options. You've seen the stats versus lefties. They're not good right now.
Right.
So I think that's why they kind of have to roll with Bohm and hope that he's going to get out of it. Because all signs, like you said, he's been a good contact hitter in the past. This is not the player he is. So I think the Phillies feel like they kind of have to roll with it, especially with how poorly things are going with right-handed hitters, especially versus lefties right now. They're going to have to rely on him to get out of it. But yeah, I don't know if it keeps going at this rate. I think you could definitely see Edmundo taking more reps at third base in the next few weeks or so.
And obviously he's more than capable defensively of doing so. Charlotte, I want to transition to the mound because last night was a very deflating game for Jesus Luzardo. Poor guy, it's Jesus Luzardo shirt giveaway day, and he has a rough outing. What is your perspective on what is going on with him? Because this is a guy who came into spring training this year saying, I'm focusing on being better. I want to do better than I did last year. And he seemed like he had the right mentality coming into the year. And then he has games like last night where he looks like he has no accuracy, no control. He doesn't feel like he has any comfort on the mound. Whereas 2 games ago, he looks absolutely amazing, like a Cy Young candidate. So what do you attribute to this up and down nature for Jose Luzardo so far?
Yeah, I think the big inning has been a huge problem for him. Even the A's were in town this week, and I was talking to people I know over there, and even when he was with them, when he was very, very young and just debuted, the big inning has just always been an issue. And for the most part, when he's shown that he can overcome that, he's starred. You look at the end of last season, he was really working past that. I remember at one point he said to me, I think he walked 4 guys. I want to say he walked in a run or 2. I can't remember what game it was, but he said to me after, he was like, that happened. And I was like, I'm going to grow up. This is it. I'm getting over it. And once he decided that, he pitched really well toward the end of last season and into the playoffs, obviously. But yeah, it is definitely frustrating because, like you said, you look at what he did in Colorado to strike out 11 in Colorado and shine like he did. That is it's so impressive. And then just melt down last night against the same hitters in a much more favorable ballpark. It's sort of confounding. And I know that he and Caleb and the whole pitching staff are going to be looking to try to find answers for it. Last year, they shifted. He's had a lot of problems out of the stretch before. So last year, they specifically were trying to tweak his stretch to be more like the windup. And I don't know if they're going to turn to something like that again. But I know they're going to be looking for everything they can to try to figure out how to limit these big innings because they've been such an issue so far.
And the pitching staff is interesting because, Charlotte, over The Athletic, you guys wrote about, Andrew Painter and what he's dealing with and, his kind of first, taste of real world Major League Baseball, right? And you have a guy like Luzardo who you see how great he could be versus how not great he can be at times. And so it almost seemed like the return of Zach Wheeler was the most important thing ever because you see how the other pitchers have been up and down with a roller coaster ride this year. And Zach Wheeler has been that calming presence walking back into the rotation as a stabilizing force.
Yeah, that's definitely the right read. Zach, you just sort of always know what to expect when you see Zach. Obviously in that first start back from TOS, you're not quite sure, but he has looked really good. It felt like he was even holding back a little velo in the minor leagues. There was a lot of talk about how relatively low his velo is, and he's not quite back to where it was, but it looks a lot better. I mean, and the fact he can go, I believe it was 6 1/3 the other night, and he still feels frustrated by that. He feels like he's not where he can be. I mean, I think Zach is a huge piece to all of this, like you said, just because there's so many question marks surrounding everyone else. I mean, Christopher Sanchez has definitely looked a lot more human this year. He's still been excellent, but just a lot more human. And Aaron Nola has obviously been up and down. I'm going to be very curious to see if the tweaks they made in Miami, sort of with the sequencing and just what they were doing there, to see if he continues that and what that sort of how that bears out for him. But yeah, I totally agree. Zach, as long as Zach remains consistent, that it bodes really well for the Phillies.
Getting back to Painter, and by the way, a great article in The Athletic. Charlotte Varnes joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. I like the fact that you kept pointing out in the article about, he has a game plan. It's just the execution isn't always there. So it almost feels like with a guy like Painter, like I love the other night when he could have been pulled out of the game. He's like, no, I want to go back out there and try to rectify this. It seems like his mind is in the right place. It's just that, maybe the body is still catching up to everything else. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, the fastball command it's better than last year. I know that feels weird to say after how it looked the other night, but I watched him several starts last year, and it is for sure better this year. I think his body's still catching up back to where it was pre-Tommy John. But yeah, I think he's just really young and figuring a lot of things out. He obviously had a very up and down time at AAA, and I think that helped him figure out how to deal with poor circumstances, bad luck, not being able to command the ball, not being able to make the pitches you don't want to. Like, he got the start of that experience in AAA last year, and now I think he is pretty steady while dealing with all of it right now. I mean, that's what everyone has said. Like, he's always the same. Don said it. Jesus is very good friends with him and said the same thing. It doesn't matter if he lets up a ton of runs, like strikes out 7 guys. Like, he's going to be the same guy coming into work every day. I think it's just the growing pains of being a young starter. I know a lot of fans specifically, I've seen a lot of frustration in watching Painter, but then at the end of the day, he is really young. He's like 7 outings into his MLB career. It would be ridiculous for anyone to be pushing the panic button right now. It's just so unusual for anyone to come in. I think people look at like Paul Skeens and see what he did and think that's to be expected of MLB rookies. But no, I think the growing pains like Painter is going through are pretty common. And I think his head is in the right place. It's just trying to figure out how exactly to keep all these problems from cropping up and how to handle them in the moment the best way possible.
And by the way, even Paul Skeens' first game of the year, he even had a rough outing this year. So, I mean, even the Paul Skeens, he has moments at times where he looks vulnerable. Charlotte, before I let you go, another player who has been a bit of an interesting conversation has been Trey Turner. I know they gave him a day off a few days ago. This is the batting champion, and he's basically batting almost 100 points less than he finished with last year. We have heard talk about how they're pressing, they're trying too hard. I know we can say that probably about Alec Boehm at times. Do you think Trey Turner fits that category where he is pressing and trying a little too hard?
Yeah, I'd say he fits into that. And I mean, Matt Gelb, my co-writer, had a great article the other day as well, talking to Trey. And I mean, you really know that Trey is going through it if he is batting on the field or taking early batting work. And he's been doing that a lot lately. And obviously that can be a good thing. At the same time, you don't want to be overdoing it with your work. I believe he didn't come out. I want to say yesterday he didn't come out for early work. So I feel like he's trying to take it one game at a time. But yeah, I think he feels very frustrated by his slow start. And I mean, you could argue there's definitely been pressing up and down the lineup, and for him to have had the level of success he had last year and to come out swinging like this, and especially he had a slow spring training as well. And I remember early on, he was like, well, like when I've had really bad spring trainings, they've translated to good seasons. He said that like first week of the season, it has not gone that way so far. So I think he's just feeling very frustrated about how things went in spring into now. And yeah, I think he has been probably pressing a little bit.
For more Phillies coverage, check out The Athletic. She mentioned Matt Gelb, her teammate over there at The Athletic. Of course, Charlotte Varnes covers the Phillies for The Athletic as well. I highly recommend reading her article by Andrew Painter. Really great insights on the young top prospect for the Phillies coming up to the big leagues, having an up and down season so far. Charlotte, great stuff. Keep up the great work.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Josh Hennig hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Don't forget, coming up on the other side, we will have the Ivy Rehab injury report with Dr. Jaden Hoth. We'll get more into Tyrese Maxey's injury and more. Ivy Rehab with our 18 locations around South Jersey. Best-in-class physical therapy. Hanging with Hennig, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. And we'll get back to text board a little bit later this hour as well. 609-403-0973.
It's Flyers Hurricanes, Game 4, tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoric call all the Flyers playoff action.
They get it back to Marteau with a shot, the vaulting putt, Zegras, he scores! Covers Zegras, and the Flyers have tied
It's
it.
Flyers Hurricanes, Game 4, tonight. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on South Jersey's home for Flyers playoff hockey, 97.3 ESPN. And listen live on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Planning a graduation party, a summer family gathering, Memorial Day weekend mixer. The one-stop shop where I go is Boulevard Super Liquors, located on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the Ocean City 34th Street Bridge. Boulevard Super Liquors has the best selection of craft beer, whiskey, vodka, wines, and tequila in all of South Jersey. Plus, if you're traveling down the Garden State Parkway, Boulevard Super Liquors is within minutes of exit 25, so you can jump off the exit and get back on the road within minutes. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, Boulevard Super Liquors also has the largest temperature-controlled wine room in New Jersey. These are just some of the reasons why my favorite stop is Boulevard Super Liquors, with the best selection at the Jersey Shore. Visit them on Instagram and Facebook to learn more about upcoming tasting events. Don't miss your chance to win a signed Devontae Smith helmet or Cooper DeJean jersey when Hanging with Hennig broadcast live on Saturday, May 23rd. Presented by Bird Gang Spirits at Boulevard Super Liquors on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the Ocean City 34th Street Bridge. The best selection of beer and spirits in South Jersey.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
Fishing season's here. Get everything you need at the Bait and Tackle Shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Utch's Marina has all your fishing needs. Live bait, frozen bait, rods, reels, and lures too. Prepare for your next fishing experience. Come see us today at the Bait and Tackle Shop at Utch's Marina, located at the foot of the bridge in Cape May.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like customer service associate at a dry cleaning shop.
Yeah, hi. I'm here to pick up my suit.
Ah, yes. Here you go.
There must be a mistake. This is too small.
It shrunk a whole lot. Look on the bright side. Now you have a suit you can give to a child.
This is a job for Sponsored Jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Little moments become big memories at Sesame Place, Philadelphia. Giggle out loud on rolling rides and splashy water slides. Sing and dance at exciting shows and the Sesame Street Party Parade. Get hugs and high fives from everyone's favorite furry friends and enjoy exciting special events and activities all season long. It goes by fast, so make memories last. Now through May 31st, save up to 45% on tickets and season passes at sesameplace.com/Philadelphia.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, save up to $700, plus get a free adjustable base with select Sealy Posturepedic mattresses. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Why keep searching? Your next vehicle is waiting at Bridgeton Auto Mall. Right now, take advantage of big savings on a huge selection of new and quality pre-owned SUVs, sedans, and trucks, all priced to move. At Bridgeton Auto Mall, there's no pressure, just a team that treats you like family and helps you find the right vehicle at the right price. And don't forget, our expert service department is here to keep your car running like new. Don't wait. Drive to Bridgeton Auto Mall today. Sales service satisfaction. 808 North Pearl Street, Bridgeton, or drivebam.com.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The ShopRite LPGA powered by Wakefern returns to the Jersey Shore May 29th through the 31st at Seaview Hotel and Golf Club in Galloway, New Jersey. Come see 144 of the world's best female professional golfers, including fan favorites and past champions Brooke Henderson and Anna Nordqvist, compete in the annual Shore Tradition. Daily, weekly grounds, and upgraded hospitality tickets are all available. Children 17 and under get in free, and ShopRite Price Plus card holders can download 2 free tickets. Visit ShopRiteLPGA.com.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I want my picks back, and I want David Putney.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All my picks back, and I want David Putney just because I feel like it.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I am. Haven't I proved that already?
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig back here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, we'll get back to text board a little bit later this hour at 609-403-0973. But each week we have the Ivy Rehab Injury Report with over 18 locations around South Jersey. It is best-in-class physical therapy. You know how I know that? Because they were my physical therapist, and they should be yours as well. And joining us today from their Hamilton location is Dr. Jaden Hoth. He joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Dr. Jaden, how you doing today?
Hey, Josh, doing well. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you jumping on. And we got some interesting injuries to get into today. And one of them is very consequential this week specifically because Tyrese Maxey, while he played all right last night for the 76ers, he is obviously dealing with this pinky injury. And what I find interesting about it is this is now the third different time he has injured the same finger. And he got the splint on it. You could tell at times he kind of you see his face, right? He looks like he's in discomfort at times. So if you have a patient like Tyrese Maxey comes in with a finger injury, and they've injured it not once, not twice, but 3 times basically in like a 15-month span, what is the approach to someone like that?
Yeah, so anytime you've got some kind of chronic injury like this, you're definitely keeping that into account with the plan of care, and you're thinking, okay, how can we get this to heal as best as we possibly can and get it as strong as we possibly can, especially for a basketball athlete such as himself that's going to be putting the finger up to the utmost tests and stresses. So especially in these chronic cases, we know, once you have this kind of injury in this area, very difficult for it to fully heal and be the same again. Hence why he's kind of on this. He's had this third injury already, and it's going to be more prone to injury. The body does a good job at healing, but it's not 100% healer. Once it's had that injury, those ligaments have stretched. There's that tearing that's occurred. Hard for it to get to fully heal. There's scar tissue that's left in place, and the ligaments have been stretched out. So for me, the issue is, can we get it to heal as best we can? We're not going to get it back to the 100%, but can we get it to, as close to that as possible? So we're going to be doing a lot of manual interventions, a lot of massage. It's all about trying to get blood flow really to the area. More blood flow is more healing. So if I can do some massage, we do a lot of different techniques in the clinic. So you've maybe heard of instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization, where we're using like a scraper device, a metal device, to try to get in between some of those tissues, especially on the pinky. There's not a lot of tissue there. You've got the small, thin ligaments and then bone. So trying to get into these specific areas with maybe an instrument to get in, and you're going to cause a little bit of microtrauma, try to get a little more blood flow. After he's healed, of course, we would do this after he's splinted and rested it a little bit. Just to try to get it to heal, and then gradually increasing his strengthening exercises and regimen. he's probably a good candidate to get into other modalities and things. There's a lot of things on the market. There's the red light therapy, there's shockwave, even dry needling, any of these different interventions to try to get more blood flow in the area, improve that healing.
Now, obviously, we know this is the third time he's injured it as well. So there's the other side effect, which is how does the pinky injury affect the rest of the hand? Because, for someone, maybe they're not a basketball player, right? Maybe someone who has a job, but they have to use their hands a lot, right? Maybe a construction worker or someone like that. How can an injury to one finger affect the rest of the hand usage?
Yeah, it certainly. I mean, I would say in his case, best case scenario is that it is the pinky, which is probably the least useful of all the fingers of the hand, all the digits of the hand. But it's still, needed, especially for, if I'm grabbing something, if I'm down that pinky finger, then I'm not gonna be able to grab as effectively. Same thing in his case, he's using his whole hand to dribble the basketball. I think he made a comment about not being able to dribble as well, because he's using all parts of his hand to help control the ball. Same thing when he's shooting and handling. So he's got, I think I noticed last night he's playing, he had that pinky wrapped up. So already his sensation is going to be different and not what he wants to know, what he's used to on that finger, right? So that's going to be affecting him. And so he's got a brace and wrap, so the sensation's off. Even with having the injury, that's going to change his what we call proprioception, or the feedback he's getting from the finger to his brain. And so, how the hand is obviously working it's not going to be at 100%. I'd say where it's the pinky, that's best case scenario for him. That's going to be the one that's least likely to affect. If it's a thumb, that's obviously a much bigger deal for the hand than if it's the pinky. But still, obviously, it's a handicap to him.
Talking with Dr. Jaden Hoth from Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy over there in Hamilton. There's over 80 locations around South Jersey. Best in class physical therapy. They're my physical therapists. That's why I recommend them here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. So Maxie, we'll see how he does tomorrow when the Sixers are back in action for the game at 3:30. Folks can hear that game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Dr. Jaden, I want to go to the baseball diamond as well here, because to me, the Carlos Correa injury is very fascinating. And I feel bad for the guy. I get it. But it's very odd because he had the injury when he was doing something non-impact. He was doing something that you would think to be he was just in the batting cage, just having some normal swings. And that is when he had what they're calling a complete tear of a tendon in his ankle. Now, for those who don't know, this is the ankle that he had a plate inserted into his leg 12 years ago, and it's one of the reasons why other teams have failed as medicals. So when you have a patient who comes in who, let's say they have a similar injury, right? They have a tendon tear in their ankle, but they didn't do anything. They weren't jumping around. They weren't, doing anything extreme. But that ankle, that part of the leg already has a weakness. What is your approach to a patient like that?
Yeah, I mean, the first time you're assessing work with a patient, you're getting baseline measurements of what is their range of motion. Is it an ankle that's already stiff? Because right there, if an ankle is stiff and you're seeing that some of these muscles are very tight, well, okay, now that tendon or that muscle is already at a higher disposition of being torn, right? So first thing you're doing an assessment, getting that range of motion, getting the strength. Are there any areas of weakness, tightness, feeling around? Are there any muscles or tendons that are painful to the touch? That are showing signs of maybe some trauma that's developing, right? Because sometimes, the athlete won't feel it while they're doing their regular motions and activities. But then as you're starting to get in and you're palpating and you're feeling and you're torquing on the ankle, they start, I feel that when you do that specific test, but maybe they don't feel that in their regular play, right? So that first initial assessment, you're looking and finding, are there any areas we really got to work our plan of care to focus on? And in this athlete's case that you mentioned, and maybe we'll talk about this more, but it was something a routine movement that completely tore the tendon. So I often think in those kind of cases, you'll even see it with Achilles tendon tears, which it wasn't his Achilles, right? But similar kind of thing of it's a complete tear. They weren't feeling much, but it usually what's happening is there's been tearing that's been occurring with other things that they've been doing, not aware of it, not seeing it. And then it's just kind of, as the saying goes, the last straw to break the camel's back, so to speak. He probably twisted one way. It was probably tight. Obviously, probably compensating with his history of injuries in the area. He probably did have some tightness with the surgery. That would probably be, I could pretty well guarantee that. And that probably.
At the point, go ahead.
All affected, made it more probable to have that kind of injury. Yeah.
You mentioned about the past injuries. When someone does have a serious injury from years earlier in the same area, right? What is kind of like the procedure when you have a patient who you don't want to tell them, hey, come see us every time you have any little tweak or anything, but what is kind of like the line between, hey, you're feeling something in there, you need to get it looked at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk a bit, a lot about pain and pain with the athletes and what does pain mean. Essentially, when he's training, if he's going through and if he's having that discomfort and that pain and it's something that's consistently he's feeling, even after training, if he gets done with, any kind of regiment and he's like, oh, I'm feeling that stiffness in my ankle, that should be, especially for an athlete like him, should be brought up and paid attention to. Now, sometimes we'll have the muscle soreness after workouts. That's a little bit different, right? But if while I'm doing the motion, if I'm feeling that discomfort and that pain, that's my body telling me, hey, something is potentially not right here. And if it consistently happens, then I usually will say, if you start to feel something, do some movement, do some stretches, do a little bit of extra movement, see if we can get it to go away after I try again. If it keeps persisting, and then especially if I'm noticing it getting worse as I keep going, then that's definitely a sign, you need to stop. Let's get it looked at.
Now, when you have a patient who has a serious injury, right, and somebody who we've always heard the term that, that area is now weakened, that it's never going to be 100% ever again, that your new 100% is a little less than what it used to be. Is that a real thing? Is that something? We hear that a lot in sports, right, that a guy has a weakened part of his body. So is that a real thing when it comes to injuries?
Oh, yes, of course. So, I mean, you break a rod, you weld it back together. Is it the same original rod you had? No, right? And we use that analogy a lot in the clinic. So the rod is whole again, but it's welded together. It's not got the same structural integrity as it did before. So same thing happens with our bodies. All of us have scars on our skin, right, from injuries we had. That scars, the body had healed, but it still is obviously leaving that mark that you can see because it wasn't 100% fully healed, but it's functional and it works, and it 99 out of 100 times gets us through. But with these athletes that are pushing their bodies to their very limits, they get these kind of injuries where it leaves that path of scarring. The body is healed, but now that tendon or tissue is more stretched than it was before. It's more lax. You also have that scarring that's there. And so the tissue integrity is just not quite as good as it was before. And then obviously all these, injury after time, it makes that structural integrity weaker and weaker. So from a therapy standpoint, you're definitely, a lot of things we do are trying to get that structure to heal as best we can. A lot of these chronic issues, we see this a lot with patients. They'll come, this nagging injury's been bothering me. We'll come in, we'll massage the area. Sometimes you can get pockets of scar tissue that are not allowing blood flow to permeate the area entirely. So sometimes if you can get in and with massage, break that down. We do different things like the dry needling, shockwave therapy, something that's coming up. Then in these ways, we can get blood flow to permeate through the area better and give it a better chance of healing more completely. And you obviously always couple that with the stretching, with the strengthening, so that they're more prepared to give them the best chance ultimately to not have any re-injuries.
And of course, Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy with over 18 locations around South Jersey. They're best-in-class physical therapy, and I can say that because they're my physical therapist. Now, Dr. Jaden Hoth, he is over in Hamilton. I was down in Cape May Courthouse, so they are all over South Jersey for your physical therapy needs. Dr. Jaden, I appreciate you jumping on. Great insights today. I think it's very important to kind of use these examples to tell people, athletes, they're like us. They just happen to have more resources than the rest of us when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Josh Hennig here, hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City. Hey, don't forget Hanging with Hennig. We will be back on the road in not 1 but 2 weeks. May 23rd, we'll be back on the road at the one and only Boulevard Super Liquors, because when you are planning a graduation party, a summer family gathering, maybe you're getting ready for Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend, my go-to spot for all of my needs is Boulevard Super Liquors. We're going to be there on Saturday, May 23rd, presented by Bird Gang Spirits. The Bird Gang team will be out there at Boulevard Super Liquors on May 23rd, and we'll be giving away prizes like a signed Devontae Smith helmet, as well as a Cooper DeJean jersey. So if you want to win these great Eagles prizes and more, you got to stop by Boulevard Super Liquors on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the 34th Street Bridge. That's the place we are going to be hanging with Hennig, whether you're going onto the island for the weekend or maybe you just need to, fill up on supplies. I know a lot of people used to live in Ocean City. You would go over the bridge, you go to ShopRite, and on your way back to the island, that's when you swing in and maybe load up on your beer, your wine, your vodka, your gin, your whiskey, whatever your flavor of taste is. Well, the place you want to do it with the best selection in all of South Jersey is Boulevard Super Liquors. And we'll be joined that day as well by Billy from Ludland Island Brewing Company, which is one of my favorite breweries in all of South Jersey, as well as Frank's Way Espresso. And if you haven't been there, Myers Lighthouse Brewing, it's a really cool spot as well over there in Ocean View. They'll be stopping by as well. And don't forget about the No-Fly Zone bus will be there for Bird Gang Spirits. Again, Saturday, May 23rd, hanging with Hennig, giving away prizes, but you must be present in order to have a chance to win any of the prizes that we give away Saturday, May 23rd, Boulevard Super Liquors on Roosevelt Boulevard, right off of X25 on the Garden State Parkway. Just minutes from the Parkway is Boulevard Super Liquors. They are the best selection of beer, wine, spirits in all of South Jersey. Back to text board on the other side, 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We are streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
It's Sixers playoff basketball. It's Sixers Knicks Game 4 tomorrow afternoon on 97.3 ESPN. Listen as Tom McGinnis calls all the Sixers playoff action.
Here's Maxey on a drive to the right side, scoops it, stops it, shoots it, and scores it. It's up and good. Clutch field goal by Maxey. A sweeping crossover to create the space on the right wing on McBride.
The Sixers face the New York Knicks tomorrow afternoon. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. on South Jersey's home for Sixers playoff basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and foods. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account. When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything. Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
It's time to bring on the blooms at the Home Depot with spring garden deals. Find savings on hanging baskets and flowers to brighten your backyard or any space that needs instant color. Then get everything you need to plant and protect them with low prices guaranteed on soil and mulch. Dig into spring garden deals for 4 days at the Home Depot. Now through May 10th. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Town Square Media has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible offers from some fantastic local businesses. Get this great deal right now. Get a $50 gift card for just $25 from Shea Swirl Cafe in Galloway, New Jersey, where timeless flavors meet a modern swirl, serving classic comfort food made in-house from scratch. Shea Swirl is not just a cafe, it's a craving. Come get your swirl on. Get this great deal right now at seizethedeal.com.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-705-9484. 800-705-9484. 800-705-9484.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a data analyst.
Hey, what model did you use for these quarterly projections?
Astrology. If Mercury's in retrograde, sales tank. If Venus is rising, we crush Q4.
You built our revenue forecast off horoscopes?
Yeah, the Zodiac never lies.
This is your job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
When it comes to injuries, you can't afford to get it wrong. Insurance companies, they delay, deny, and pay as little as possible. Who's on your side? The law offices of Craig A. Altman. Car accidents, slip and falls, serious workplace injuries. They build cases to put real pressure on the other side. And you pay nothing unless they win. Don't guess, don't wing it. Call 856-327-8899 or visit CraigAltmanLaw.com. Local office in Vineland, backed by a Philly firm that knows how to win.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
People will come, Ray.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
People will most definitely come.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here and Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to text board in just a bit. I see Robbie from Little Egg Harbor and others chiming in at 609-403-0973. Don't forget, Hanging with Hennig being brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app offering you Caesars rewards. Baseball, basketball, hockey, all the games you love, all season long on one app with endless rewards like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Get started right now by downloading the Caesars Sportsbook app. Use my promo code RADIO, DYW. They'll place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. 10 chances to boost your play just for stepping on the field with Caesars Sportsbook. For more information, visit Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also to come on the show, we'll talk with Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network as the Flyers get ready for Game 4 tonight, 6 o'clock. Puck drops here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, let's get back to text board now. 609-403-0970. We've talked throughout the show a lot about the Phillies, the Sixers, the Flyers. You guys have been chiming in throughout the show. Your thoughts on both teams being down 3-0. Robbie in Little Lake Harbor chimes in on the text board. He says, you have to have a lineup. One with Paul George, one without Embiid. One without Paul George and Embiid. And then you have one with Paul George and Embiid both out of the lineup. Which is best for 76ers? Well, I guess if we're removing... And the only problem with these hypotheticals, Robbie and Little Lake Harbor, is the hypothetical has so many variables. So let's try to remove every variable possible, okay? If everyone is healthy and everyone is playing at the level that they're capable of, you get the Sixers team that won Game 7 against the Celtics. So it's not about are you better with or without Embiid or George or whoever. It's that when everyone steps up and does their job, when everyone steps up and they're healthy, when everyone is their best version of themselves, not Tyrese Maxey with his injured finger or Joel Embiid having an appendectomy or Paul George and his litany of injuries over the years. When these guys are 100%, they are arguably one of the best rosters on the basketball floor. You know, Kelly Oubre scored 22 points last night. He led the team. Kelly Oubre is a great number 4 option on a team like Philadelphia. And for Sixers, they also have VJ Edgecombe. And Edgecombe, I think, is going to be a star in this league for years to come. To me, Robin Lillard Harbor, saying are they better with or without Embiid or Paul George isn't really the issue. The issue is their availability. The day that you move on from Embiid is not going to be because Embiid is a bad basketball player. It's going to be because Joel Embiid is not available every day for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's because Joel Embiid is not always the man you need him to be day in and day out. And Joel Embiid has played through injuries numerous times. Broken faces, Bell's palsy, messed up knee. Now he's playing a couple weeks removed from an appendectomy. And frankly, he missed the game if Mikal Bridges didn't elbow him in the stomach. So reality is that I don't think it's fair to say are they better with or without these guys. I think the question instead, Robbie Lillard Harbor, needs to be, when you look at the 76ers and you're talking about building this roster for the future, not just next year, but for years to come, are you building that roster around who? Who is the centerpiece? I think that this season has shown that Philadelphia needs to start building the roster around Maxey and not Embiid. They need to start treating Joel Embiid like the icing on top of the cake, not the main ingredient of baking the cake. You cannot rely on Joel Embiid to be the heart and soul and centerpiece and foundation of this team. You need to start treating Joel like an accessory. Like when you're putting your outfit together. Okay, let's say you're going out to a very fancy event. Joel Embiid is not the shoes. He is not the suit. He is not the belt. He could be the tie. He could be the fancy watch. He can be what puts you over the top. But you got to build the rest of the outfit so that when you put on the tie or when you put on the watch, that it amplifies everything else. Joel Embiid needs to be treated like that. You need to treat Joel Embiid like he is the add-on, like he is the valuable asset, not the centerpiece. Because again, the day will come when Joel Embiid is no longer a 76er. And when he is, it's not going to be because he's a bad basketball player or the Sixers are better off without him. It's going to be because Joel Embiid is a guy who is just not dependable and available enough for you to build a roster around anymore. And what you saw last night was Joel Embiid. He gave you an effort. He really did try. But when Paul George goes 0 for 9 to finish the game, when Tyrese Maxey only gets 12 shots in the game, when Kelly Oubre finishes the game as your leading scorer, that's a problem. And to me, that's where the real issue is for Philadelphia. They got to move forward, not saying, are we better off without Embiid, but saying, how can we reconstruct this roster to better complement Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe? And then whatever we get from Embiid and Paul George. Treat that like an accessory. Treat that like the part of the outfit that puts you over the top. Because this team has got a lot of issues that have nothing to do with Embiid or Paul George. Number one, their lack of rebounding, like bona fide dudes who just go out and get rebounds, is absolutely perplexing to me. They built this roster in a way that was devoid of guys who can grab rebounds on a consistent basis. Because when Andre Drummond is your best rebounding big man, that's a problem. That means that you don't have a better option. The other thing you got to make a decision about this offseason, about rebuilding the roster, you got to put either guys on the roster who Nick Nurse will play, or get rid of Nick Nurse, because there's too many games where you're sitting there and you're wondering, Jabari Walker would make some sense here, or Justin Edwards should be getting some run here. The Sixers traded Jared McCain because Nick Nurse didn't know what to do with him. And the Sixers organization said, we like Quentin Grimes long-term more than Jared McCain. Well, Quentin Grimes played really good in the Celtics series and has not been the same guy ever since. He's not reliable. Nick Nurse likes to play Quentin Grimes. He didn't like to play Jared McCain. So the Sixers got to make a decision. They either need to better build the roster with players that Nick Nurse can and will utilize, or they got to bail on Nick Nurse. And you got to stop giving roster spots to guys like Kyle Lowry. We got to stop treating these roster spots like, oh, well, we like Kyle Lowry. He's a great guy. Everybody loves him in the locker room. That's Nick Nurse's guy. No. You're telling me that you couldn't have found somebody else to give that money to? And maybe that is part of the reason why a lot of people look at Daryl Morey and they're like, I don't want this guy here anymore, because he is the one who is making the moves. He is the one who's calling the shots. He is the one who is saying, I am going to give Kyle Lowry $3.6 million to sit on the bench and do nothing. Daryl Morey is the one who doesn't tell Nick Nurse, dude, this Jared McCain guy is our future. You got to find a way to make it work with him. And maybe Daryl Morey is the guy that needs to be blamed because you don't have enough guys that Nick Nurse wants to play on the court night in and night out. Now, again, it depends. It's a chicken or the egg argument. But I think to Robbie and Lily Harper's original point, I think this team has very big issues to figure out that are not with or without Embiid and Paul George. Because unless some team is going to come along and say, yeah, I'll take on the damaged goods that is Joel Embiid in his massive contract, you're stuck with these guys. And if you're stuck with these guys, you absolutely, positively have to start treating them like, I need you. And if I can't depend on you, then I gotta start treating you like I need you. I need a better roster. I maybe need a better head coach. I need a better complement of pieces and assets for Tyrese Maxey and BJ Edgecombe. All right, hour 3 of Hanging with Hennig coming up on the other side. Keep text coming in. 609-403-0973. Hang with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
The NBA playoffs on ESPN Radio. the Thunder roll.
Gilgeous-Alexander, open three. Bang, he got it. And the Thunder have taken the lead.
OKC stays perfect this postseason, taking a 2-0 lead as the series shifts to LA.
James pulls from Curry range and hits it right from the NBA logo.
Listen to the NBA playoffs tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins after Flyers playoff hockey.
Listen up. The soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tom P. here, host of Rack and Fin Radio. Join me at Camp Edge in Alloway on Saturday, May 30th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Ranch Hope Levi Baldwin Memorial Free Youth Fishing Tournament and Family Fun Day. Still time to register. There'll be plenty of fun with food trucks, local vendors, fishing seminars, contests, fun activities, and more. Enjoy a fun-filled day by the lake, supporting Ranch Hope's mission to serve children and families from all over the state of New Jersey. And meet me. Go to ranchhope.org.
It's time to bring on the blooms at the Home Depot with spring garden deals. Find savings on hanging baskets and flowers to brighten your backyard or any space that needs instant color. Then get everything you need to plant and protect them with low prices guaranteed on soil and mulch. Dig into spring garden deals for 4 days at the Home Depot. Now through May 10th. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him, it's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Mindset-wise, is just try to get a game. Get one game at a time. You know what I'm saying? One possession at a time, one play at a time. And then the turnovers, I'll have to go back and look at them in the third quarter. I don't like recall exactly how they happened, but I got to go back and look at it and watch it.
Tyrese Maxey not really telling you anything you don't already know last night after the game. One possession at a time, one play at a time, cut down the turnovers. It pretty much sounds like what everyone who has half a sense knows. And that's why I said earlier in the show. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN. It seems like the Sixers, we kind of already know that this team is done. We know this team is cooked. We know that this team doesn't have it. They can still win the game tomorrow. And I'll tell you why and how they can win the game tomorrow in just a bit. Also coming up this hour, we're going to get back into the Flyers because the Flyers got a big game tonight. You'd hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN Game 4 for the Flyers. Puck drops after 6 p.m. Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network will join us coming up in about 20 minutes from now. But for the Sixers, you heard Tyrese Maxey say, we have to take it one play at a time. And while Tony Jones from The Athletic, who joined us early in the show, while he won't say that Maxey's calling anybody out, I kind of feel like Maxey might have been trying to send a message in some capacity. Because to me, I think Tyrese Maxey is in a no-win situation. He's the guy who was the team's big all-star this year. All-star starter. He was elected. He was voted for. But he's on a team with two guys who are much more cachet in the NBA. Very bigger-than-life contracts. Larger-than-life resumes. And two guys who, frankly, need the ball in their hands in order to have success. You know, historically, the best teams find a way to balance their offense. The Miami Heat with LeBron and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Or you go to the Lakers teams that had Shaq and Kobe. You find another team dynamic with a big three like Boston had with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. And you can go through the list of all the teams that have had multiple scoring options. How about that Warriors team with Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson? All those teams function the best when they have everyone allowed to do their part. The Sixers feel like a team that treats it like it's your time to hog the ball. We're all just going to run around and set screens and hope for the best. It was almost like when Paul George had that massive first quarter. They kept being like, okay, maybe it's Paul George's night. And then when he couldn't make a shot, that's when Maxey and Embiid were like, yeah, boy, we got to do something. And that's when Kelly Oubre stepped up and be like, I'll take the shot. I'll make a bucket. The Sixers don't have a cohesive balance between all their guys. And that's where Tyrese Maxey is in a no-win situation. He's trying to be differential to the veteran stars on the team. But at the same time, he needs to step up and take this team by the reins and say, guys, you're old. You don't have it like you used to. It's my team now. And I don't know if it is something intrinsic to Maxey's own personality type, or is it an issue with how the coach is telling Maxey how to execute on a night-to-night basis, or if guys like Paul George and Joel Embiid are not encouraging him enough. But whatever the reason is, Maxey has been incapable of asserting himself into the this is my team when it's Embiid and George on the floor with him. Now again, they won a game without Joel Embiid against the Celtics. And in Game 7 against the Celtics, Maxey had a great game along with Embiid. But in this series, it really feels like that Maxey is letting the Knicks' rotating cast of defenders from Bridges to Anunoby to Brunson to, they've had times they've had Jose Alvarado try to guard him. They're just rotating guys on him. And it's almost like because Embiid and George are on the floor with him, he just says, you know what, I need to get it to them. And then it's going to be their time to score. And I don't know the reason why. If it's just part of his nature, if it's the coach, if it's the other guys, but whatever the reason is, we got to get it figured out this offseason. This offseason needs to be about how do we put Maxey in a position to be the lead dog on this team? How do we make Maxey front facing instead of just part of the cast of characters? How do we get Maxey to be that assertive number one offensive player? And if he cannot be that guy, well, you know you can't depend on Joel Embiid and Paul George beyond this year. So you either need to find that guy, or you need to build a roster that puts Maxey in a position to be better. You know, you go back over the years to different players who they were never the guy who was like the megastar. But you saw how, to use an example, the Portland Trail Blazers built their roster to amplify Clyde Drexler. How the Houston Rockets built their roster to amplify Hakeem Olajuwon. How the San Antonio Spurs built their roster to amplify Tim Duncan. How the Toronto Raptors surrounded Kawhi Leonard and made sure the players who were on the team could play off of and amplify what he does. And even teams that didn't maybe win a championship at first, but won a championship later. Look what the Mavs did with a Dirk Nowitzki. Look at what a team like the Suns did with Steve Nash. And I can go on with examples. How you build the roster is very important, especially in a sport like basketball. The 5 guys on the floor are arguably more important than any collection of players on any field, court, or ice in any sport. Because, for example, in baseball, you can have a few really good hitters, a few really good fielders, and a few really good pitchers, and you have a chance to win a championship. In football, your quarterback can be mediocre, but the rest of the team around him is elite. You still win games. Or you can have a great quarterback and a set of subpar receivers like the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen and win games. In hockey, you could have a roster like the Carolina Hurricanes with really only 2 star-level players, but the rest of the team is a bunch of B-plus guys up and down the roster. It elevates the floor. So how do we elevate the floor of the Sixers around Maxey? That's the big question for Philadelphia moving forward. And speaking of the other team that's down 3-0, the Flyers are down 3-0. Game tonight versus the Hurricanes on 97.3 ESPN. I mentioned about how the Hurricanes have a roster full of a bunch of B and B-plus guys. A couple of comments that Rick Tocchet made after the game the other night that I thought were very interesting, that I think are very important to highlight, because these might be the keys to how the Flyers can win the game tonight in Philadelphia against Carolina.
We had a great first, and then it was all power play penalty kills. We took 9 penalties. 5-on-5 were good. I thought we were the better team, and then the power plays and penalties. You know, that's 2 games in a row, just 2 penalty fest. We're not equipped for that.
You heard him say we're not equipped for that. That's a coach who understands what his team can and can't do. He says, we were the better team 5-on-5. But when the penalties happen, we don't have the depth, the firepower, the ammunition, whatever term you want to use. The Flyers don't have it. And so how can the Flyers offset that lack of, hey, we're not as good on the power play, the penalty kill? And Tocchet said it there. They have to stop committing these penalties. And he went on to say that the guys that they have, they're putting them in roles that are not ideal for them.
There's reads and plays you have to make to be on a power play. And, all fairness, we got some guys that are playing power play that, probably wouldn't play a lot of minutes in the power play, and we're trying to get these guys to understand certain things. But that's on us. It's on me to try to figure it out.
He says it's on me to try to figure it out. And I appreciate Tocchet trying to be the bigger man. He's trying to be the responsible one in the room. But as he explained, it's also on the guys to do their job as well, because the players can't be committing all. Don't blame the refs for everything. Some of these penalties are purely on a lack of discipline by the young, inexperienced Flyers players.
I mean, you guys saw some of the stuff. I don't know. We had nine penalties. I don't know. So that's a lot of penalties. And we just got to understand too. You're in a scrum, you take a punch in the mouth, and just don't do anything. Just take the power play. If you're going to go in, like I told you guys, you're going to go in and fight. If you're not going to fight, then get out of there. So a little inexperience from us in a couple of the scrums.
The retaliation is just not important. Winning the game is more important. And especially with some of those situations at the end of the game where guys like Konechny and Zegras, it was like they were almost trying to go out of their way to get into a fight or have an incident. And the Hurricanes were just like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. You guys can mess around and find out. We're not going to do that. And Rick Tocchet, the Flyers head coach, explained the other night that a lot of this comes down to the lack of experience, not just by the young teenagers and early 20-year-olds, your Porter Martones, your Matvei Mishkovs, your, Noah Cates isn't playing right now, but it's not just about those young guys. It's the whole team does not have a lot of experience in these situations.
Inexperience. It's and not just saying young guys. I'm saying as a team, just knowing, kind of sometimes you got to read the room. If the officials are calling penalties and you can tell they're antsy, it's not the right time to go and do something even borderline. And I think we do that. And then sometimes I feel the puck. You got the puck, and you just got to get it down low. You can't try to make a play out of nothing. I think we tried that a couple of times.
You can't make a play out of nothing. That stood out to me more than anything, because that was a perfect example of how this team played. They were trying to play outside themselves. They were trying to force the issue. They were trying to do things that were not within their skill set. And even Rick Tocchet admitted, this team, they're lacking right now in two important areas.
Not enough speed and confidence for me. And then when you don't have a play, sometimes you have to chip it yourself the good old-fashioned way. But I think we're lacking a bit of speed and confidence right now.
They're lacking speed and confidence. Why is that? Well, they're missing it in part because no Owen Tippett. Not having Owen Tippett the last couple games, I think, has been a huge loss for this team. He's one of the team's fastest players. He is one of the team's most assertive players. And so for me, not having Tippett is a huge part of where this team is at. We'll talk more Flyers with Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network coming up here on 97.3 ESPN. He'll join us at 2:25. The Phillies lineup just dropped, and I wanted to share it with you guys because Alec Boehm is back in the lineup. So here's the Phillies lineup today when they play the Rockies tonight at 6:05, which, why on earth are the Flyers and Sixers playing at the exact same time? I mean, who is the imbecile who thought this was a good idea? But I digress. Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Garcia. No new news there on the big four. Turner at short, Schwarber at DH, Harper first base, Garcia right field. It's after that where it gets interesting. Edmundo Sosa in left field, followed by Brandon Marsh in center, Real Muto as the catcher. The bottom of the lineup is Alec Boehm and then Bryson Stott. Now, a couple of points to make out here. One, the Phillies seem very intent to keep playing Brandon Marsh until basically his bat cools off. They are taking you're the hot bat right now. We're not taking you off the field. And even though there's a left-hander today in Kyle Freeland, we are going to put your bat in the lineup until you prove that you can't be in the lineup, that you're a liability. Because right now, for the Philadelphia Phillies, you could argue that Brandon Marsh has elevated himself to being one of the most important players on the team. I mean, the guy's got a .333 batting average. And on a team with a ton of sluggers, he has the third most RBI at 20. Kyle Schwarber's only 2 ahead of him at 22. Harper's at 23. Brandon Marsh has created a dynamic where you can't take him out of the lineup anymore. It's crazy to say, but it's true. Now they put Boehm back in there at third, but they put him down the lineup. They're basically trying to put Boehm in the least demanding, least stressful spot in the lineup. And they're allowing Bryson Stott to be the buffer between Boehm and turning over the lineup. Also, Myrtetus, left field. You've heard Mike Gill say numerous times here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. They should have trained Sosa all offseason to play left field. Now they need him because between Felix Reyes, Otto Kemp, and Dylan Moore, they don't have a bona fide right-handed bat. Reyes was a nice story. Not good enough. Otto Kemp, not dependable, to say the least. And Dylan Moore, I think we all can agree, was a gross disappointment. So that's your Phillies lineup. Boehm back in there. And Edmundo Sosa is going to play left field. Phillies playing the exact same time as the Flyers. It's got to be one of the dumbest things of all time. Just so dumb. Hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Coming up on Sea Isle Talk, Flyers hockey. Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network will join us. How can the Flyers win Game 4 tonight? Well, that's Jason coming up next here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
It's Sixers playoff basketball. It's Sixers Knicks Game 4 tomorrow afternoon on 97.3 ESPN. Listen as Tom McGinnis calls all the Sixers playoff action.
Here's Maxey on a drive to the right side, scoops it, stops it, shoots it, and scores it. It's up and good. Clutch field goal by Maxey. A sweeping crossover to create the space on the right wing on McBride.
The Sixers face the New York Knicks tomorrow afternoon. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. on South Jersey's home for Sixers playoff basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Planning a graduation party? A summer family gathering? Memorial Day weekend mixer? The one-stop shop where I go is Boulevard Super Liquors. Located on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the Ocean City 34th Street Bridge, Boulevard Super Liquors has the best selection of craft beer, whiskey, vodka, wines, and tequila in all of South Jersey. Plus, if you're traveling down the Garden State Parkway, Boulevard Super Liquors is within minutes of exit 25, so you can jump off the exit and get back on the road within minutes. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, Boulevard Super Liquors also has the largest temperature-controlled wine room in New Jersey. These are just some of the reasons why my favorite stop is Boulevard Super Liquors, with the best selection at the Jersey Shore. Visit them on Instagram and Facebook to learn more about upcoming tasting events. Don't miss your chance to win a signed Devontae Smith helmet or Cooper DeJean jersey when Hanging with Hennig broadcast live on Saturday, May 23rd. Presented by Bird Gang Spirits at Boulevard Super Liquors on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the Ocean City 34th Street Bridge. The best selection of beer and spirits in South Jersey.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
Little moments become big memories at Sesame Place, Philadelphia. Giggle out loud on rolling rides and splashy water slides. Sing and dance at exciting shows and the Sesame Street Party Parade. Get hugs and high fives from everyone's favorite furry friends and enjoy exciting special events and activities all season long. It goes by fast, so make memories last. Now through May 31st, save up to 45% on tickets and season passes at sesameplace.com/Philadelphia.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, save up to $700, plus get a free adjustable base with select Sealy Posturepedic mattresses. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The countdown to summer is on, and Broadleys is ready to help keep you cool. Schedule your AC tune-up today and ask about their family comfort plan for priority service all year long. Did your AC struggle last summer? Act now and take advantage of 0% financing and rebates up to $2,000, so you can have a worry-free summer. Call 609-390-3907 or visit Broadleys.net today.
Broadleys, the name you know, the service you trust.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN, the 2 o'clock hour of Hanging with Hennig, as well as the Sports Fest. Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by the law offices of Craig A. Altman, proud sponsors of Philadelphia sports coverage here in South Jersey. Because if you don't have a plan when you get injured, you will be in trouble. The best teams have a game plan for all situations, and you want to make sure that someone is on your side. If you get into a car accident, a slip and fall, a serious workplace injury, you need to make sure that someone is advocating for you. Someone is on your side, because the insurance companies, they have a game plan. It's delay, deny, and pay as little as possible. So the question is, who is on your side? Call the law offices of Craig A. Altman at 856-327-8899. Located on Delsey Drive in Vineland, backed by a Philadelphia law firm that knows how to win. 856-327-8899. Visit them online at craigaltmanlaw.com. And remember, you don't pay anything unless they win. So don't guess, don't hope for the best. Go in with a game plan with a law firm that has the tough lawyers that can handle the tough cases. craigaltmanlaw.com. Proud sponsors of Philadelphia sports coverage here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN. We are hoping to connect with Jason Myrtetus momentarily here on 97.3 ESPN. Flyers tonight, 6 o'clock is the game. And I think what Tocchet said before, I think is very important to all of this. Because I think that if this team just plays with more discipline, if they just play with a level of hockey that they're capable of, then I think it's very possible for them to be in a position to win. You look back on the opportunities they had in overtime in Game 2. You look at the way the game played out for the first 2 periods of Game 3. They weren't being outplayed and outclassed the entire time. This was a hockey team that was right there with one of the best teams in the NHL. But then it was their own mistakes that put them in a position so they couldn't be successful. So what can they do tonight? Well, we'll ask Jason Myrtetus from the Flyers Radio Network. He joins us right now here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Jason, welcome in. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Looking forward to Game 4, see if they can extend this series, extend their season, and at least go out there and play with some dignity and some pride.
One of the comments we talked about before you jumped on, I was playing some of the audio from Rick Tocchet about how they need to be more disciplined, how they were the better 5-on-5 team. And he kept bringing up, hey, inexperience. These guys are young. For you, is that how you see it as well, Jason, that these are a lot of guys who have never been in this moment before, and some of this kind of comes with the territory?
Well, I didn't look at losing their cool as being the young guys. I thought it was the veterans that lost it. Mm-hmm. And I called this out on the podcast the next day. There were guys that it wasn't the young guys that got into the retribution. That game was not about retribution on Taylor Hall. It's about winning. So retribution can wait for the hit on Sanheim. And I thought some of the old guys, not old guys, but veterans, the guys who have been in the league for a little time, got caught up in it. And I think it cost them in that game any chance to after the shorthanded goal to get back in it. There was too much goofing around with worrying about Taylor Hall and not worrying about winning the game. So the young guys didn't get mixed up in that, in my opinion. So, yeah, the young guys, there is inexperience, no doubt about it. This is phenomenal experience for them. So early in their career, guys like Martone, Mishkov, even Zegers and Drysdale, who have never been in the playoffs. This is great experience for them. Tippett, also, he was in the playoffs before in Florida, but he's been out, obviously, in this series, and it's a huge loss. But, yeah, there's inexperience, and it's mixed with some experience. And you see some experience with Sean Couturier, who for some reason has learned how to just flip a switch and become Benjamin Button and go back to 26 years old. He's been unbelievable. But guys like, Konechny needs to step up. His playoff numbers don't match his regular season production over the last 5 years. And he's got to find a way to be, not be better, but be productive.
Yeah, I think that, and I believe it was Konechny and Miller near the end of the third period where he tried to get in a scuffle with him behind the net, and Miller was like, I want nothing to do with this. You're ridiculous. And,
yeah, why would he do it, right?
Right, exactly. And it was that was the moment where I kind of feel like a lot of Flyer fans were like, dude, come on, what are you doing over here? Like, that was one of the kind of like because it almost was, I'm not saying it is, but it almost felt like Konechny was pressing so hard after he had the opportunity to win Game 2 that by the time the Game 3 ended, he was just like off the rails almost.
Yeah, I thought a few guys went off the rails. Even Christian Dvorak, I thought, went a little bit off the rails. I mean, he took two. I mean, they weren't even retaliations. Like, if you're going to go in there and retaliate and get a minor for it, get your pound of flesh. Like,
well, that's what Tocchet said, right? Tocchet, you're going to go in there, do something.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting an ounce of flesh. Like, if you're going to go in there, make the 2 minutes earned. I thought he just kind of went, and the refs are going to call the retaliation all the time. And those refs, again, I thought the refs lost control of the game like they did in Game 2. Carolina had 9 power plays in the game. I mean, that's absurd. The game prior, they had 8 penalties and 7 power plays. I mean, this is ridiculous. And I thought in the first 16 minutes of the first period, they were letting the guys play. And then all of a sudden, again, they went to that mode of like being a cop at the end of the month that's got to meet a speeding ticket quota. And they set up the speed traps everywhere.
Right.
Like they had to get so many penalties in. And it just kills the flow of the game. And there's not enough 5-on-5. It's constant special teams. You can't get any flow on the bench. It hurts Mishkov, who only played 9 minutes and 19 seconds. I didn't think he was good in the game. But he would have got more ice time if they'd have been 5-on-5 and didn't have to kill off 9 penalties because he doesn't kill penalties. That's 18 minutes that they had to kill. It's almost a period.
Yeah, it was absolutely just ridiculous by the end of the game. It just felt like you completely deflated Flyers team. Of course, game 4 tonight here on 97.3 ESPN. Jason Myrtetus will be a part of the coverage here as the Flyers radio network. Jason, coming into tonight, though, so what is – let's take the penalty part out. Let's take the stupid penalties and all that stuff out. What is something the Flyers can do to get off to a good start tonight?
Stay out of the penalty box. Well, you got to be disciplined. So let's just that's obvious, right?
Yeah.
But what can they do in the first period? I thought their first period was good in the last game. I thought they played really well. You got to play the first period tonight like you played the first period the other night, like you played the overtime in Carolina, and you've got to be moving your feet. Look, for the Flyers to beat them, the Flyers have to play by their standard of and where they are as a team. They have to almost play a perfect game. You've got to convert off the rush from time to time, which they haven't done other than on the power play goal. Because Carolina will give up rush chances. They give up the most rush chances in the NHL because of how aggressive they are offensively with their forecheck. I mean, they run a 2-1-2, so you get 3 guys caught deep or at least 2. You get odd man rushes the other way. So you got to convert on that. You got to stretch the ice and really get the odd man rushes. You also have got to, and I thought they did a better job at points in game 2 and game 3. You got to impede them. That's kind of the word I came up with. Impede them through the neutral zone because they hate going into the zone and dumping it. They hate that. They want to go in with possession. They're the number 1 possession team for a reason. They want possession. So if you impede them and take away their ability to obtain the zone without chipping it or dumping it, that you have to slow them down there because once they get in and they get cycling, they're a nightmare to deal with. I can only imagine what it's like to play against them, Josh, because it's like when you were a kid and that bigger kid at the public pool would be dunking you. You're like, all right, dude, enough. Like, I can't come up for air. I think that's what it would feel like. Like, they just are relentless. They don't let you up for air. And their lines are like 4 cloned lines and 3 cloned deep airs. It's like one after another. So it's so relentless. And they're a team that when they play you and they're on their game, they will show you exactly where you are as a team. They will, your kind of, weak spots will show up very brightly. And they tend to make teams look really bad when they beat them too. It's just the way they play, that Rod Brindamore system, and it's worked for them to get them to conference finals. They haven't gotten to a cup final, but this could be the year where they do that because they look like an absolute wagon right now.
Yeah, their depth is absolutely ridiculous. And the crazy thing, Jason, is, I was having this conversation with somebody else the other day about how the average fan probably doesn't know who anyone on the Carolina team is, except for like 2 guys, right? But it's like their
Stahl, because he's been around for 100 years.
Right, and Sebastian Aho.
Yeah. And they don't even know he's from Finland, though.
Right, that's true. But like some people might know Gostis Bears on the team. Like people might know but like the majority of people don't know that like part of the reason why Carolina is so good is because they have Keandre Millers, because they have guys like Jarvis who are just like you said, just line after line. And so I think people maybe they don't appreciate, or maybe they will appreciate with time, that the Flyers are literally up against the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they had 113 points during the regular season for a reason. They didn't get gifted to them. So, yeah, I mean, they earned it, and they kind of did it from soup to nuts, like from the beginning of the year all the way through. They're very consistent. They avoid the long losing skids because they play a very rigid system. There's no team in the league that plays the system the coach wants us with more consistency than them. And people look at them and they don't maybe feel as threatened by them because you don't see a McDavid. You don't see a McKinnon. You don't see those kind of guys there. Their key is balance and everybody being on the same page and playing really fast because they've been playing this system. Then you add in a guy like Stankoven, who's just hit the ground running with them, and Taylor Hall turning back the clock, speaking of Couturier, doing the same thing. And even Jordan Stahl has been excellent in this series, and he's He's still doing it at 38 years old. So you may not see that guy on the marquee, but just because you have the guy on the marquee doesn't guarantee anything. Yeah, Crosby won, but McDavid hasn't won a cup with Draisaitl. McKinnon did win a cup, but you look in Toronto with Marner and Matthews and Nylander, they didn't win. Tavares, they didn't win. So it's no guarantee that you can do that. And I look at a guy like Rantanen, who Carolina traded after getting him from Colorado. He went to Dallas, and they got knocked out in the first round by the Wild. So, they're a really balanced team. Somebody had messaged me the other day and said, I hate seeing this because we're more talented than they are. They don't have any, they don't have a McDavid or McKinnon. I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean they're not talented.
No.
They're some of the parts team.
Exactly. And you mentioned about Toronto. The problem with a team like Toronto is they're top heavy. It's like their top 5 guys, the gap from the top 5 to the next 5 is huge. Whereas Carolina, the gap from Aho to the next guy is not a massive gap. So to me, that's how I look at it.
They have a top line, a really good top line, not the best. And then they have 2 second lines and a third line. They don't have a fourth line. Rob Rindermer will double shift his fourth line. Fourth line. So they're a unique team. They're almost built a little bit like that Vegas team was in their inaugural season that went to the Cup. They didn't have a fourth line. They were kind of 3 lines of a second line and a third line, as they built that thing, with the expansion draft and everything. So, in Toronto, you mentioned they didn't have any D or goaltending at the right times.
Right.
And you're just not going to get away. You're just not going to outscore your mistakes in the playoffs. It's just a different game.
Jason Myrtetus joining us, of course, Flyers Radio Network. We tonight, 6 p.m. starts the coverage here on 97.3 ESPN. Jason, big picture I want to know from you. During this playoff run, is there been a guy or guys that you looked at and their play or their performance or something they've done has kind of maybe redefined how you view what the team will do with them moving forward? Is there a guy who's maybe you were kind of on the fence being I don't know what his future is with the team, but now he's done this. I think he's got more of an established role on this team next year.
Well, I thought this guy was going to have a role, but not this quickly. Denver Barkey. I thought maybe he'd get a game or two this year if the Flyers were out of the playoff mix and they were kind of playing out the string, and he'd go back to the Phantoms. And if they were in the playoffs, he'd, be a part of that playoff run. But when he was called up, it was apparent he's not going back. All his plants died. I don't even think he thought it. He left the plants. So I hope somebody came over and fed the cat because, after 2 weeks, it was dude, call up to Allegheny Power and turn off the electric, brother. You're not going back. So I think he's gotten more comfortable. I like the way that they've handled him during the regular season. When it looked like it was getting a little heavy for him, they pull him out for a game, let him see it from upstairs, and then they put him back in there. And, you do that with players. If they look overwhelmed, you don't throw them a manhole cover when they're drowning in the ocean. You throw them a life preserver and you get them out of there for a night and let them collect themselves, get some practice and video in. And they've done that. And I just think Denver Barkey, I thought this before because he's won everywhere he's been at, and he carries around a Grand Canyon-sized chip on his shoulder because everybody's always told him, you're not big enough, you're not strong enough, blah, blah, blah. So I think he's always been in the mode of proving people wrong, but he's just a winner. He's won everywhere. And I look at him in his game in the playoffs, guy's throwing his body around. He weighs as much as Rasmus Ristolainen's right leg, his chest may be the same size too. He's not a big guy, but he'll get in there. He'll win board battles because he's savvy and he can skate and he moves his feet like crazy. I think, and you moved him to center, which I was that's interesting. How's he going to hold up in the playoffs? I think he's looked good. I think he's been consistent, and it kind of, I go, okay, maybe this guy's going to be a different NHL player than I thought. Maybe as the levels go up and the players get better, he's one of those guys that gets even better when the competition and your teammates are better structured and just more talented than they are in any other league.
Jason, before I let you go, what is the biggest question or point of reference that the front office is going to need to do this offseason to make sure this team stays in this mode, right? You say stays as a team that can be, because now the expectations have changed, right? You made
Playoffs,
second round of the playoffs,
Yeah.
right? So what does Danny Briere and Keith Jones and their team have to do to make sure that this is not a one-off?
Well, they got tons of cap space. They'll have about $39 million in cap space. League just announced this week that the cap's going up to $104 million. So they got plenty of space there. Now, the free agent market's not great. So you don't just go out and spend the money because you have it. You have to be careful here. You have to be frugal and calculated. You don't have to spend the money right away just because you have it and get yourself tied into a long-term contract that you don't need. There'll be a noose around your neck at some point with too much risk. But you can dip into the trade market, and that'll be key. You can dip into the RFA market. It's interesting. We talk about the center position, and I mean, you have, if you're going to play Zegras in the middle, and maybe Barkey's a center, and you have obviously Dvorak and Couturier and Cates, you can move one of those guys to wing. And I'm kind of in favor of, if there's not a deal that I can't pass up a trade for like an Austin Matthews type center, then I'm okay with them sitting this summer and seeing what Jetlachenko and Jack Nesbitt, how they develop, how that starts to play out. Because Nesbitt finished really strong. Lachenko didn't have a great year. I think he was hurt going into the season and kind of was behind the proverbial eight ball all year because he was rehabbing instead of training. And it's a big offseason for him. He looks like he put on some muscle, though, I'll tell you that. So I would, if there's not the great deal there to be had, I'm okay waiting on the center. What's going to happen on the blue line is the big question. Is Ristolainen in here? You have David Jiricek. He's never going to get through waivers next year. So he's got to be on the roster. Maybe you start Bonk with the Phantoms. But is Ristolainen here with a year left on his deal? Because him being here is kind of the known commodity. Jiricek is the unknown commodity. And if Risto's not here, who's your top pairing right side guy? I don't know that you put Jiricek into that position. I don't know that you put Drysdale into that position. Who is it? And that's a big question mark. I think you extend Dan Vladar 3-4 years because I think he's a guy that can transition to that 1B and be a great kind of transitional guy to help a young goaltenders come into the league, whether that's Bjarnason or Zavragan. So I think you absolutely extend him. He's got 1 year left. If you extend him for 3, that's 4 more years. That's till he's 33. It's perfect. So they got some work to do, and there's some big decisions to be made. Rebuild, you don't get just to an end date, an expiration date, and go, this is it. This is the rebuild. Now contend. You're going to constantly be tweaking it.
He's Jason Myrtetus, Flyers Radio Network tonight. Coverage begins here on 97.3 ESPN at 6 p.m. Tim Saunders, Todd Fedora calling all the action. And don't forget the Flyers Daily Podcast that Jason hosts. Make sure for all your Flyers coverage, not just for the playoff series, but for the whole offseason. It'll be an interesting offseason. You heard him mention about the salary cap going up. So a lot of exciting things for the orange and the black. Jason, great stuff today. I appreciate you jumping on.
Thanks, Josh. I just hope I'm not recording exit day interviews on Monday because I have to record like 30. That basically gets us to August on Flyers Daily. Well, maybe beyond that this year because we're still playing in May. So
that's true. You might have to maybe like pick and choose which ones you're gonna play what day, right?
Double up.
There you go. Jason,
enjoy the
great
game
stuff.
tonight, man.
You too.
Shit.
Josh Hennig here, hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. And if you want to enjoy the game tonight with some liquid libations, of course, the place to go for everything you need, the best selection of craft beer, whiskey, vodka, wines, and tequila in South Jersey is located on Roosevelt Boulevard at the foot of the 34th Street Bridge in Ocean City. Boulevard Super Liquors. And, of course, we will be there for Hanging with Hennig broadcasting live Saturday, May 23rd, 12 to 3 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN, presented by Bird Gang Spirits. It will be there with the No-Fly Zone bus. And, of course, we will be joined as well by Billy at Ludlam Island Brewing Company, from also Frank's Way Espresso Martinis and Myers Lighthouse Brewing, all part of the big celebration we'll have. Get summer started right. Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, May 23rd. And you got to stop by for your chance to win a signed Devontae Smith helmet as well as a Cooper DeJean jersey. All that and more great prizes. But you must stop by Saturday, May 23rd, the Boulevard Super Liquors. And tonight, Phillies and Flyers both at the same time. So whether you're celebrating or commiserating in the misery of a loss or celebrating a win, Boulevard Super Liquors has got you covered right off exit 25 on the Garden State Parkway, right at the foot of the 34th Street Bridge outside of Ocean City. We'll wrap up the show coming up. Final text messages from you guys. Plus, this WWE Hall of Famer thinks he took a shot at Philadelphia sports, but I'm here to tell you why this WWE Hall of Famer actually gave the biggest compliment to Philadelphia fans. That's next here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Just follow at Josh Hennig. Like, subscribe, and share.
It's Flyers Hurricanes, Game 4, tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoric call all the Flyers playoff action.
They get it back to Martin with a shot. The bouncing punt. Zegras, he scores! Covers Zegras, and the Flyers have tied
It's
it.
Flyers Hurricanes, Game 4, tonight. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on South Jersey's home for Flyers playoff hockey, 97.3 ESPN. And listen live on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Listen up. The soap you shower with? It's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, clemicperformancemethod.com.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Fishing season's here. Get everything you need at the Bait and Tackle Shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Utch's Marina has all your fishing needs. Live bait, frozen bait, rods, reels, and lures too. Prepare for your next fishing experience. Come see us today at the Bait and Tackle Shop at Utch's Marina, located at the foot of the bridge in Cape May.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-923-6829 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-923-6829. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
When it comes to injuries, you can't afford to get it wrong. Insurance companies, they delay, deny, and pay as little as possible. Who's on your side? The law offices of Craig A. Altman. Car accidents, slip and falls, serious workplace injuries. They build cases to put real pressure on the other side. And you pay nothing unless they win. Don't guess, don't wing it. Call 856-327-8899 or visit CraigAltmanLaw.com. Local office in Vineland, backed by a Philly firm that knows how to win.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I stood right there not too long ago, and I told the entire world, I said, call me what you want. Yeah.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
And there's nothing you can do about it, and that's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Yeah.
Streaming live on YouTube and the X platform.
Back in the day, ECW.
I honestly have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, nothing.
I really.
No, you did nothing. You did nothing that stood out at ECW.
We set our fans on fire.
Did they volunteer for this?
No. Well, they volunteered by showing up at our arena.
Yes.
And that to me, that's a license to set them on fire. They were participants. You know, I mean, that's the whole thing. You know, the participation trophies, an immersive experience.
Yeah,
and so
experiential.
We set them on fire.
Yeah.
It was in Philadelphia, though.
Oh, they probably loved it.
And if you know people from Philadelphia, it's really no great loss to set them on fire anyway.
That was the WWE Hall of Famer Paul Heyman this week on Sportsmanlike Heard, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern, here on 97.3 ESPN. And I wanted to bring back that cut from a couple days ago because I think in Paul Heyman, and for those who don't know, Paul Heyman's not a Philadelphia guy originally. He's a New Yorker. But I wanted to bring it up because Paul Heyman tried to present it like he was being negative or throwing Philly sports fans under the bus. But the reality is that he actually gave him a compliment. See, Philly sports fans will show up if you give them a good product. Philly fans will show up and participate if you give them a reason to. And what Paul Heyman basically was admitting there is ECW was so big and so popular and so much fun that everyone wanted to be there and wanted to be a part of it. Philly sports fans are some of the most passionate fans of sports entertainment on the planet. They are not afraid. They are not shy. And so Paul Heyman thinks he was throwing under the bus, but the reality is that he was actually giving them the biggest compliment, which is Philadelphia appreciates good sports entertainment. And when you're not good, they will let you know. WWE Backlash, by the way, is tonight. If you're watching on YouTube and X, you'll see that I'm wearing my Roman Reigns shirt. I mentioned Tony Jones earlier. Look, I got no time for Jacob Fatu. Roman Reigns needs to hold that belt for a while. So that's my personal take on that. All right. Before we get out of here, I did want to mention a couple things. I mentioned it more early in the show. I do think the Flyers win tonight. I think the Flyers and the Sixers both win a game. And then they lose in Game 5. But for very different reasons. The Flyers are going to extend their series because them losing games 2 and 3 was their own fault. The Sixers are going to lose the series to the Knicks because the Sixers just don't want it as bad as the Knicks do. And that's their two very different situations. The Sixers are an up-and-coming team. They're a team that is ascending. They're a team that's going to have salary cap this offseason. They're a team that has a bright, bright, bright future ahead of them. The Sixers are a team that, frankly, I don't know if they have a real plan after this year. They might have an idea, but they do not have a bright future. They have a lot of people under contract. That's what they got. All right, thanks, Jason Myrtetus, for the Flyers Radio Network. Flyers coverage begins at 6 p.m. tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Flyers Hurricanes Game 4. We will have a pregame build-up from, you'll hear from Kevin Durso, 97.3 ESPN.com with Mike Gill and the Sports Bash at 5 p.m. Thanks to Tony Jones from The Athletic. Sixers coverage for Game 4 begins tomorrow at 3 p.m. with Tom McGinnis on the call at 3:30 here on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks to Charlotte Varnes from The Athletic. And thanks to all of you for listening and watching Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
Sunday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, producer Alex Berardis, and my intern Erin Ewing join me in the studio. Erin, who's on our show Sunday?
Well, Billy, we'll talk Phillies baseball and go on the mound with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green, brought to you by Blitz's Market of Ocean City.
Of course, we'll recap the Flyers' Game 4 action against the Hurricanes and preview the Sixers and Knicks action in Game 4. Will both our seasons come to an end?
It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.